back into the music. You know how to do this. Don't second guess, just not a test. It's not a race, no black or white. Everything's great, no yesterday, never tomorrow. Only the present, that is your gift. It benefits you only if open. Everyone's chosen, beauty of choice. You can stay silent, forget your voice. You can malign them, hold a grudge, or stand before judge, just stay in your case. Top of the notion that you were just a mere drop in the ocean. This is your moment, fear is a Trojan horse. When you open or close your doors. Just when you feel like it's too much, just when you feel like you've had enough, take a step back from the edge and take a deep breath. Dance like you'll never. Dance like you'll never. Dance like you'll never. Dance like you'll never, ever gonna live again. Sometimes you don't like where you live. Sometimes you don't really like your kids. Sometimes you grow out of your friends. Sometimes it's your fault, just admit it. Finger point in the mirror, 3-point back, that's the tearjerker. You can wallow in sorrows, depressed of the past, afraid of the unknown tomorrow. Or you can just live in the now. We all trying to figure it out. The rhythm inside of your chest that's keeping you moving, that's the solution. The roll on the floor is hard to ignore. Endorphin rush will flush your brains while you dance your pain away. Just when you feel like it's too much, just when you feel like you've had enough, take a step back from the edge and take a deep breath. Dance like you'll never. Dance like you'll never. Dance like you'll never. Dance like you'll
Welcome everybody to Call of Duty Challengers Elite. It's time for week number 2 of season number 3, and we're kicking things off with the European region. My name is Infinity. I'll be taking you through all the action today, but as ever, I will not be alone. I'll be joined by my good friend, the scholar, the one, the only, the man with the man bun, Andy. How you doing today, buddy? You lighten up my day every time.
I was just waiting for more and more gas. It was fantastic. I was going to let you go on that entire rant, but I'm doing great, man. It's fantastic to be back for another week of Challengers Elite matches. A lot on the line. We always talk about this the second week where so many teams are just so darn close up against one another. This is the defining week to be able to see where teams finally stand.
Yeah, indeed they are. Now, I will say, coming into week 2, more often than not, some things may be a little bit cloudy. That's not going to be the case here in Europe. You can see the top 4 are pretty much set in stone at the moment, we will say. All of those top 4 teams currently 3-1, and of course, that puts them well on the path to making their way towards that 4-team playoff bracket. Of course, looking down from 5th through 8th, though, Andy, these teams, Invincibles, Dizzy's Rascals, Soleo Signs, and Nixa ACCL, they are going to have a tough time coming into this week.
Yeah, I mean, to say the least, starting off 1-3 would be a stretch. 2-2 is somehow still able to come all the way back, and I say that very loosely because you see at the top 4 teams at 3-1, it seems like things might be hashed out. This is where you have to be able to almost rectify your week 1 issues and come back to be very, very strong, but starting off 0-4, I mean, that's not where you want to be at all, Nixa x ACCL. You almost are hoping to not only win out on the last 3 matches that you have to play in round robin, but then Destiny is out of your hands at the same time.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I think we need to see some upsets today, because obviously, you get towards the point, obviously, where if you get 4 wins, you're not effectively solidified, but you feel a lot more comfortable, right, for your playoff chances. So we need to see some upsets today, but into the first match we go. We're not going to get any upsets per se. We're going to have 2 of our top teams going head-to-head. It's Toronto Ultra Academy EU versus ROKKR Academy. Here is our map set for the best of 5. Andy, if you're a fan of Berlin and Tuscan, man, this is your match.
Yeah, it's a what is it? A Tuscan Big Mac sandwich, as I like to call it. You got the two patties being the Tuscan, 3 slices of Berlin bread. It's very interesting to say the least. I'm mostly looking at that map number 3 of the control there on Berlin. You and I were kind of going back and forth, just talking about throughout the entirety of the week. We've only seen ROKKR Academy play Gvutsu control, where Tuscan was their savior back in season 1 and 2. But then they actually ended up vetoing out the Gvutsu control. Now, this was all off of Toronto Ultra EU's first pick of the ban. They got rid of the Tuscan. Now we get to see what this ROKKR Academy team looks like on a Berlin control, somewhere that Toronto Ultra already have a dub this season so far. Yeah,
well, indeed. We are going to be kicking things off on Berlin, of course. That's going to be Hardpoint. For the first map in our best of 5, quick shout out to our observers, Waldo and Shane, both wonderful folks, and they'll be observing us throughout today's series and matches. And yeah, they are so nice, aren't they? Regardless, though, they're who we're going to be showing out for the observing role, and we're going to be jumping things in here to Ultra Academy EU and ROKKR Academy to get things started, and it's going to be Metals on our screen first.
Metals is one of those players that has almost been kind of like a benchmark player for this team, for ROKKR Academy. You can always rely on them to be able to pick up that 3rd SMG, but hey, if you could find 3 kills by way of a fragmentation grenade starting off on the favorite side of the map for ROKKR Academy, you're going to be feeling pretty darn skippy about yourself getting this early 20 seconds.
Well, indeed, on board with Sakuri now, of course, technically speaking, still the newest addition to this ROKKR Academy lineup to see what he can do, of course, over towards that concourse side, and fortunately, he will be taken down, so there will be an attempt now for Ultra Academy EU to make their way around the back line. It was just Furious that did exactly that. He will get taken down, so this has been, I would say, a pretty good hold right out the gate here for ROKKR Academy. They've got most of the kills, they've got basically every single second of time as finally Vortex will win that last 1v1 for what will be 5 seconds of scrap time, but already here, the fights will be going down for the rotation, and Furious, one of the 2 players from Ultra Academy EU inside this next hardpoint, has been taken down. Just now beans to go, and for ROKKR Academy here, they're still being annoyed already before Ultra can even get a second off this hill.
Yeah, tip your hat to Sukri, who was already over inside of Mail, trying to force their hand for the rotation, but it doesn't mean that your reinforcements will be here all the sooner, given that Gizmo is already locking things down outside of that B hut. Now it just comes down to be dealing with these pesky members in towards your back. You can already look at the minimap. You have Lucky that's already trying to influence the backside of the warehouse. They've already snuffed out Real inside of Mail itself. These trades need to come all the way through if you are looking at this from ROKKR Academy's side or Ultra Academy. Either way, ROKKR Academy are going to be having the favorite side of the map. These spawns will be a little bit closer. Team kill is not going to help out your chances, but Ultra Academy holds strong.
Well, Bean's going to get the last couple of kills here with 10 seconds remaining. This is going to be time that you want to soak up if you're Ultra Academy EU. But we talk about those rotational battles, Andy. They are actually being won here by Ultra Academy EU. So this should actually be a pretty comfortable moment in the game. Now it's going to be really about holding on to that time moving forward as Rocker Academy start to make their way across that patio side. A couple of players that will actually be dealt with. And I think for Rocker Academy here, you know, yes, you can send players that way, but you also kind of want to get players over towards that dock side if you can. Pretty much every single gunfight at the moment being won by Ultra Academy EU on this side of the map. Finally now, Metals trying to make his way through fire. A few more gunfights being won here by the Spanish as they break their way on through the hard point. Ultra Academy EU should still be spawning in the back here.
They will be spawning in towards the back, but you can see Rocker Academy, they're not pushing for the spawns at all, Brody. They want to hold this from the front because it's so much more alarming that Ultra Academy EU have to battle out from the crane spawns and re-break back inside the hardpoint. As Suckery is looking to find kill number 3 in a row. We'll only find 2, but this is more of a nuisance than it is anything for Ultra Academy EU. Yes, we will see a lead spot, but when we take a look at the rotation from 3 all the way over towards 4, Rocker Academy will already hold those rotations. So now Ultra Academy EU, they got to fly across this B lane, but the pinches, the crossfires, and everything else in between should be set up for Rocker Academy to be able to deal with these players trying to flank around the back.
Furious. How quiet do you want to be here if you're Furious in this situation? They have no idea that he's over here. Of course, Metals has already lost one gunfight over towards the mailroom as well, so there is a path here for Ultra Academy EU and towards the backline, and Furious might well hold the key towards this play. There's the first kill, has the support of Gizmo and Vortex with him as well. Vortex trying to win these battles around the backline. He's only able to get one, so that initial push is going to be withstood here by the Rocker Academy side. This is going to be an important time in the grand scheme of things. This Ultra Academy EU roster should continue to just hit this from the train side, but pretty much every single kill at the moment it's going Rocker Academy's way. Vortex manages to pick up 2, but that's all he's going to get.
All he's going to be able to find, that lead spot did come through again, but Ultra Academy EU, we've seen this happen before in their one win on Berlin Hardpoint just last week, Brody, is that they are quite adept at turning the tides here on P5, and that comes by way of a fantastic setup. Player number 3, Stevo, has to play inside a mail, but you also have to be able to watch the cross, and you have to be able to recognize that players are flanking around towards the back. Sucre will be spotted out by Furious, who will pick up that angle through inside of the hardpoint itself. So that is one pinch that could have been successful for Rocker Academy. It just does not come up in kind. Real, who has been leading this team by storm all year long, boasting a 1.30 KD in the hardpoint so far, finds the opening blood inside the hardpoint itself, but it's just not enough to sustain a full-on push for Rocker Academy.
And Rocker Academy, they will look to get the remaining time here off the back of P5. 30 seconds, still a lot of it, of course. They do need to be conscious about that rotation as well, and that's kind of why you're seeing Ultra Academy EU players try to solidify that rotation over towards the office side. You need to make sure that you're on the right side of the map here for the last 20 seconds or so. And now for Rocker Academy, can they get not just the majority of time of P5, but these spawns for the next hard point as well? Lucky still fighting already for this next hill. A 5 spree does get shut down in a crucial moment there from Beans.
Yeah, it's massive coming through from Beans. 13 and 12 for them through the first set of hard points, being able to shut down Lucky streaks because something could have manifested off of said streaks. Not only that, but you can see that Ultra Academy from the rotation from 5 to 1 inside the new set of hard points not only have the lead spot, but they also are in control of the hill. This is where P1 can turn into an absolute money hill. Stevo inside of fire, he's going to get scouted out. That's going to be immediately conveyed information for these players inside of P1 that it's going to be a pinch that's coming through.
Gizmo. He's going to be the player ready to deal with these guys. Of course, Beans does win that one against Lucky. Oh, Gizmo is snapping at the moment. Of course, the newest addition to this Ultra Academy EU lineup. He is shredding in this hill. He will finally be taken down. And now for the Rocker Academy side, they still have to push it from this side of the hard point. And there's only 20 seconds left here as well. Vortex, he's getting 2. Looking for number 3, does get shut down. But the majority of kills will be going Ultra Academy EU's way. And this is the biggest lead we've had for a team so far in this hard point, especially as we look over towards the rotation as well. Ultra here.
Yeah, they're already here. They're locking down the B lane. Rocker Academy, they're trapped inside of fire because you got Gizmo still soaking up scrap time and just keeping these players at bay inside of office. Finally, 2 kills do come through. That's over by P1 and inside of P5 as well. So there's going to be a full-on flood for Rocker Academy. It's coming through the middle of the map.
You've got to hit this now if you're Rocker Academy. Lucky, what can he do? Has the support of Metals, who manages to fly on in, but does get shut down. Real, the top performer here for Rocker Academy in Season 3 thus far. What can he get done? absolutely nothing does get shut down, and this is a really good situation now for Ultra. 35 seconds left on the clock. Rocker Academy continue to spawn towards that warehouse side. This is everything you could want and more if you're Ultra Academy EU. Every single kill going your way. Can Rocker Academy escape out of this warehouse spawn trap? And even if they can, Andy, 20 seconds are left. I mean, they got to get across the map.
And they have to hit through P3 as well. Gizmo is snapping again, finds themselves on a 4-spree. Real will find that trade. But again, the problem still amounts that you have to not only fight for the scrap time, but you also have to all the way through, which Lucky is able to find themselves an avenue over by the docks. So they might be able to try to battle for some spawns if they get some help. Nettles is there now, but you already have a player up Beans off screen that is watching that entirety. Gizmo inside the hardpoint is currently locking things down, and that's immediately information that is conveyed to the teammates. Ultra Academy, what a clean kill feed coming through. Every single one of the members of this roster finding a kill as they soak up the initial 20.
I think if we're talking about the macro as well at the moment, Toronto, they'll be very, very comfortable with the current position, especially as now the autos really starting to heat up in this game. Beans here switching over to the MP40 for that particular 1v1. Does end up losing it towards Metals there, but nonetheless, this is time at the moment that Ultra Academy EU are fending off Rocker Academy from having. They have blown this game wide open. Can anybody from Rocker kind of rock the boat here, as it were? Can anybody take this last few seconds of time away from them? Well, Lucky's trying from the fire side, but I don't think anything he does here in the moment is really going to matter all that much. This next rotation, it is hugely important here for Rocker Academy, because Ultra, they are one hard point break away from victory.
And Real try to reposition to go back inside of Mail. They immediately get gunned down by Beans. Gizmo also finds one rotating through over by Statue. So now you're kind of trapped in towards the back of your Rocker Academy. You have no choice. You have to hold here or the game is over.
Indeed, Rocker Academy. Can they hold on? You can see Ultra positioning themselves around the backline. Lucky watching towards this train side. Gizmo will get his way on out, but Lucky takes him down. 5 in a row for Lucky now. If he gets Steve-O, that will be 6. And there you go. Rocker Academy. They hold off Ultra for now, but Lucky, he's getting a little bit overzealous here. He needs to try and play for this streak if he possibly can. Those Ultra players will be taking him down, though. Vortex with a lovely nade to make sure that Lucky does not earn those streaks. They'll be breathing a heavy sigh of relief off the back of that one. But even in this situation, Annie, that's 15 seconds there. If they get, what, 5-10 seconds of that, it puts them closer to that victory.
It does. So that's why you're seeing players like 6 and 8, Lucky and Real, trying to finesse for some scrap time. It's not about soaking up all the hardpoint time. Sure, you would love to have it. And, yeah, I think it did. Oh, we're back. We're good.
I wondered if I lost you there. Are we good? Are we good? Did I lose you? It's all good.
Here?
All right,
I'm here.
I was very like, I was scared for a second. I thought you'd like fallen into the void or something, Andy. But it's all good. I've got you back. It's fine. It's all good in the hood. As Ultra Academy EU now just 20 seconds away from victory. Can anybody from Rocker Academy touch the hard point? Furious. A couple more kills to take down Real and Metals. The next players up here from the Rocker Academy side as they look to try and remove Ultra Academy, but it's not happening. The autos of this Ultra side just too strong. Can anybody from Rocker touch? They'll at least take Vortex and Beans out of the hard point, but just 6 seconds away here. It almost feels like an inevitability, but Rail will come through. Snap onto 2. Metals, you need to take Vortex out of the hard point, and you do so, but the bigger problem at play here is Ultra. They just need 3 seconds. They've made their way towards the rotation. Sukri and Metals will fall, and that's game over for map number 1.
Yeah, it's that rotation from 5 all the way into 1 that has just been boasting so much success for Ultra Academy EU. It happened going in from the first and towards the second set, and then it inevitably happened there from the second going in towards the third. It's just one of those things, again, when you're looking at the greater scheme of things, the leader's advantage, which is built up so high off of that P1 hold, thanks to Gizmo just going massive inside the hardpoint. Steve-O, of course, being gunned inside of fire, is not any help whatsoever, but the information was there for the 2 autos that were watching the entire lane from the upper courtyard side, that it was just a couple kills that needed to come all the way through. Close spawn soon to follow for Ultra Academy EU, and then they were up by about 60 points. From there on out, Rocker Academy truly did struggle, didn't they, on being able to break the hard points itself. It was really P2 in the second set that did it for me, Brody, when Rocker Academy were responding over inside of the lobby hill, and then they tried to break inside of P2, but they did not want to challenge Beans nor Gizmo on that B lane. nor the middle of the map. They wanted to end up finding that one kill through the middle, and they just wanted to full-on flood through the front side of the hardpoint, rather than trying to set up a coordinated pinch. By doing so, they played right into Ultra Academy's hands and losing every single gunfight along the way. At that point, they win about 40 for 5 seconds in total on that P2 hardpoint itself, and Ultra Academy EU were just building that lead that was just too far gone for Rokkr to come back from.
Yeah, I think you kind of encapsulate that by talking about sort of the P1, a P2 to P3 rotation, right? I mean, you talk about the fact that Ultra Academy, you got the majority time of those 3 hills to successfully win out on those rotations time and time again. I will admit, you know, it's a bit unfortunate sometimes, isn't it, when you get kind of caught in that warehouse spawn trap that Rokkr Academy found themselves in, and, well, they just couldn't get out of it in P2. So Ultra Academy EU, they walk away with a blazing victory in map number 1. You can see it there, 250 to 151, and that sets the tone quite nicely for the remainder of the series. Tusken Search and Destroy is up next, but that hardpoint victory, I do want to focus on it for a second here, Andy, because it is important, I think, in the context of what happened last week, because hardpoint was the one thing, walking away from week number 1, we said Ultra needed to fix. Yeah,
that's absolutely a good point to be bringing up, right? Because, I mean, when Ultra Academy EU were doing so poorly within week number 1 was, you can go ahead and put a little asterisk on this again. We love that Gizmo's coming in to fill in for Harry. You trade one Raven player for another, but even more so than that is that they were disjointed. They were unable to force their hand as far as rotations are concerned. They had to rely on breaking every single hardpoint, and it just was not working. That time around on Berlin hardpoint, they were able to exemplify a fundamentally strong hardpoint at that, winning rotations, rotating at about that 15 to 20 second mark, and setting up very good crossfires to deal with players from Rokkr Academy trying to break all the way in. But this is where things get scary, is that Search and Destroy for this Toronto Ultra Academy EU roster was still their best game mode through week number 1, and the reason why they find themselves at 3-1 here.
Yeah, and we talk about, you know, specific players, right? I think for this is an interesting storyline, I think, for Ultra Academy EU in terms of the Search and Destroy, and I just want to clarify as well, this doesn't by any means mean that we're saying that Rokkr has no chance in this. Of course, you know, they could have improved moving from week 1 into week number 2, but, you know, nonetheless, I think the storyline for Ultra Academy EU this season, whether it would be kind of that money form roster that they started out in season 1, their S&D was abysmal. They were terrible S&D. Of course, they made the roster change moving into season 2, bringing in Furious from the Originals team that was pretty successful, I would say, in season 1. I mean, more successful than Ultra Academy, or more successful than the money form were at the time. And their S&D, I think, has improved leaps and bounds since then, whether that be down to that addition of Furious, of course. I mean, Vortex has always natively been a great Search and Destroy shot caller, and of course they've got, I believe, Josh on the coaching side as well. So Ultra Academy EU, their Search and Destroy looks great, but when we're looking at specific players, I mean, it is Furious ultimately that's doing a lot of the work here in S&D, right?
Yeah, I was about to say, I mean, how can you not talk about Furious when it comes down to Search and Destroy? It loves to be the instigator. When even we were talking about that OG Originals roster back in season 1 of Challengers Elite. But now you look at Furious and what they've been able to accomplish, and it kind of goes back to what was always talked about back at the CDL Pro-Am as well. But here in Challengers Elite Season 3, just listen to a few of these numbers. I mean, 2.14 KD in the Search and Destroy for Furious. 80% of the time that Furious is getting into a First Blood engagement, they're winning it. That is 8-2 for First Blood engagement wins for Furious on Search and Destroy as a whole, and 70% of their eliminations that they are finding are non-traded as well. Furious is a phenom on this map mode combination, or just any map mode combination that comes down to Search and Destroy as a whole, and it's something that Rokkr Academy needs to be directly aware of. That's where your ARs really need to lock things down, because you cannot allow the SMG presence of Furious to instigate these First Bloods and walk away with a numbers advantage for Ultra EU.
Yeah, you know, I will say as well, I think if I'm Rokkr Academy here in this situation, I play a little bit more passively here in the Search and Destroy, you know. Don't wait for Furious to come to you, because Furious, again, you talk about those opening bloods, you know, what he's been able to do here for the Ultra Academy U side. If you let Furious come to you, you might be able to catch him off guard, as it were, when he tries to put those first blood win percentages in his favor. You know, we talk about Rokkr Academy side, though, you know, their strongest S&D player so far has been Royale, right? And probably for more or less the same reasons. We talk about the high pace aggression that Royale has brought to this roster. It's been one of the most notable things, I think, this season thus far. We can bring up the team profile now for this Rokkr Academy side. Of course, Royale, the first new addition to the roster, as it were, because he's technically been here since the start of the season, but he has acted as the missing piece, and I think in Search and Destroy, I think certainly this season thus far, at least in week number 1, he's been a high-performing player.
Yeah, he really has been, and that you would assume would couple along quite well with Sukri and Lucky. Lucky back in Season 1 was undoubtedly the #1 statistical player when it came down to the Elite for Europe. And then you also combine that along with Sukri, who was playing on with Eric Boom and Co. at the time under Sukri's Bakery, that they're putting themselves in a position to be able to almost walk away with more first bloods, lock down these lanes. But then the role swap started to come all the way through, and it felt like this team was kind of like a shadow of their former selves in a way when they were playing with Journey, that SMG duo, to Real since the beginning of the year. Now it's Lucky and Metals, depending on the map and the mode combination. You'll see both Lucky and Metals pick up the submachine gun at different moments of time to try to influence a lot of first blood engagements, if not a lot of break potential soon to fall. That'll be quite potent when it comes down to Tuscan. Again, this is an SMG's playground as a whole. My biggest question going forward, is Sukri going to be the continuous sniper for this team going forward? It seems like off the rip, it is not so much. He is the bomb carrier. Lucky has the sniper.
Yeah, and that might be the better call, of course, because we're talking about kind of Season 2, Season 1. Rocker Academy, he was the player that was running that sniper rifle. It was Lucky, right? And he was getting lucky, you would say, with a lot of shots, doing really well, I think, and getting a lot of first blood. So far, that strategy seems to have worked out. Maybe a change in the pace here for the search and destroy for this Rocker Academy side. And this is almost exactly what we expected, right? We kind of missed the opening first blood, as it were, but nonetheless, Rocker Academy, they seem to be playing somewhat slow here, waiting for Ultra to play into their hand.
Yeah, they're just waiting for another unforced error to come all the way through, but the moment that Sukri tries to move out from Vines, he will be traded all the way out. Real was there for the quick trade as well. Numbers advantage, fallen by the wayside. 2v2 we go with 30 seconds remaining.
We're out. Trying to hunt down some of these players. Might well be able to get the bomb down at the very least. I don't think Gizmo is going to come and check this in time, or maybe he will. The check might have been in, and there is the call now. It's going to be Vortex coming in from behind. Of course, Rocker have zero idea that he's here, but they managed to catch him off guard, and now 1v1. Gizmo to take down Lucky. He is going very fast towards Real here, and he wants this 1v1, but Real is ready for it. The gunny is up, and Rocker Academy, first blood, they get the first round win.
Yeah, good attempt there from Joey, right? I mean, you find the damage, you try to chase it down immediately. You know Real has a sub, but Real gave up the position inside you, and I think that Gizmo probably assumed that he was either going to go on the backside of Grass, maybe try to re-wrap all the way through the top side of Church, come back through the middle of the map, but then Real just hits the yield bait and switch, comes back through over on their side of you, is able to find their third kill within that round, an influential one to say the least, as Rocker Academy win the opening round here. As far as an offense attempt goes for Ultra Academy, they have been able to win a lot of offensive rounds in their first week of play. And it's all on the back end of being able to find those first bloods. But in reality, still instigating that first blood attempt, is able to walk away with it. Numbers advantage in favor of the defense.
First blood once again going the way of Rocker Academy here. And that makes things infinitely harder for Ultra Academy, doesn't it, as they look to plant the bomb. I mean, they seem to be angling for this A push, but you've got to get past Sukri, who's over there. You've got to make sure you take the players out of the middle of the map as well. And if Furious comes to provide some backup from map side, he will get caught off guard. So this bomb plant is going to be super hard gear for Ultra to get down. But nonetheless, slow as you like. Vortex actually going to catch Real off. I don't think Lucky was actually watching that side. So that's a massive opening blood there on this engagement to get.
Lucky was watching it, but that angle is just so tight. I mean, we saw even Nero this past weekend from the boss and Breach being able to get the nooks and crannies to be able to get that kill on the AS&D site, but there was just no immediate cover. So now 3v3, Furious trying to deal with Lucky. They know he's up here, but Lucky's got the boomstick.
Oh, Lucky! Oh, misses the sniper. Onto Furious. Metals. Gonna throw out a stun, and we'll get the kill against Vortex. That's how weak he was, by the way, in that situation. So now it is just a 2v3, somewhat more manageable, but the bomb will be down. Furious to take down Lucky. That's going to make the situation easier. And now Beans gets Metals as well. So Sukri left up. 1v2. Spots out Beans, and he's going to jump straight on the defuse. I think, though, Beans might be able to make the call. That's exactly what Sukri's done. And I think Sukri just going to double guess it in the situation. Furious with the check. Furious has the superior position here in the play. So, Sukri, you've just got to wait this one out and hope that Furious checks it, and Furious is only going to give him a shoulder, as Sukri now going to have to walk away. But that is a massive round victory there for Ultra.
Yeah, it really was, right? And you could really tip your hat to Beans as an Ultra Academy EU fan, right? Being able to hit back through the middle of the map, taking down at least one more player inside a Church, and that just opened up the floodgates for the success rate for Ultra Academy EU. And keep in mind, this is all after Real was able to sniff out first blood, but then they just held the angle on the middle map truck. and then they got cut down by Stevo. It's so tough in that situation. Again, hindsight is 20/20 for us here as codcasters, that there was nobody that was overwatching the play. You had to trust that Lucky was at least being able to play the angle looking at the enemy side of you, but just was not able to see the entirety of the AS&D. Another offense coming through from Rocker Academy. A lot of presence going over by that fire lane. They're leaving their bomb carrier again of Sukri all the way on the backside of that Godheady over by P3.
Furious this time is going to be the one to get the first blood. We talked about that coming into it, didn't we? That Furious will be the player that you need to watch out for if you're on the Rocker Academy side. And he will draw the first blood this time around. So it seems like we're in a kind of a similar situation to what we saw last round. It's Rocker, though, this time that have to plant the bomb. They don't really have much map control to get it done. Lucky trying to gain some of that map control. Some mid-map snipes. Will he actually get away here? Vortex should be watching the cross. Lucky has called this perfectly, but he puts away the sniper at the wrong time. Vortex going to take him down. Sukri goes down with the bomb as well. 1v4 for Real. It's possible. It's going to have to be both kills here straight away. He will win those opening engagements. Now the 1v2.
He's got a double weapon setup, so close range, long range will be good, but you can see what Gizmo and Furious are currently doing with each other. They're playing in a tradable position from one another. They're over there clearing away the B bomb site. Real has no idea where these players are located at. He will try to plant this bomb. Gizmo will throw a shoulder, and that damage will be good enough to fly from the heavens to be able to get that final blow. But again, you highlighted the one play that is able to find a lot of success off the early goings of things, and that's Furious. Again, instigating out these first blood engagements and walking away with them more often than not. It has been the boon of success for whatever roster that Furious has been playing for, back with the originals, and then now here with Ultra Academy EU. As Furious will, only be 2-1, but that first blood was a snowball effect for middle of the map presence. It forced Rocker's hand to be able to try to find those trades, which left Lucky, your Kar98K player, to try to sniff out that first blood all the way through the middle of the map. He's missing a lot of snipes, Brody. This is very uncharacteristic. Not sure where my co-caster had gone. Okay, there. Yeah, okay.
my entire setup died on
once. Look, I lagged out once, so I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't sure if it was me, and then our producer said that you were muted, and then I got scared because I was alone. But yeah, Ultra Academy EU not able to at least find themselves a bomb plant, but boy howdy, are they going to continuously force their hand, not only being able to find these first bloods, but they're really exploiting one simple fact, is that Lucky is not in their Season 1 former glory of themselves of locking down these lanes single-handedly with the sniper rifles. Only 2-4. Yeah, they found a consolation trade, but there's just not a whole lot more coverage for Rocker Academy to be able to take away the rest of the map to help out Real, who is currently 6-3.
Gizmo this time is going to be responsible for the first blood here for Ultra Academy. There is a trade coming through from Metals, and Beans going for the re-challenge here. That is an important gunfight here for Beans to win versus Metals. So now a 2v3. I think Rocker will feel a little bit less comfortable now to get the bomb down, especially as Lucky has fallen. So Sukri 1v3. The information is now there for Gizmo. Beans going for the challenge. Sukri calls it, but the timing is off. He will not come in for that 1v1, and he will fall. So Ultra Academy, another round on the board here.
And again, it's not like they're doing anything too crazy, right, Brody? I mean, they're just hitting lanes aggressively. They are just making sure that Lucky with the Kar98K is not comfortable. Stuns, nades, are going to dissuade them from holding the position, but even more so than that, by overwhelming with targets, they just double chow him at long range with two automatons. That has become such a nuisance to try to deal with as a sniper player. And from there on out, they lose middle of the map positioning. The rest of Rocker Academy scrambling to try to get those positions back in their favor to be able to find said trades. And it just has not been working for the past 3 rounds now. Ultra Academy EU find themselves 3 rounds up. Gizmo currently on a 5 spree trying to fish out these last 2 for a Glad.
And if he gets this, I mean, it's not necessarily game over, obviously. Rocker Academy can find their way back in towards this game, but it's going to be a tough one to climb back into for sure. Ultra feeling really confident here. Even challenging a sniper. Hello, Gizmo? I mean, I know he was feeling pretty confident after the Challengers Cup victory this past weekend, but nonetheless, this is egregious here from Ultra Academy EU, especially as now Furious will fly out and get that opening blood onto Real. That's not even where the bomb is going, by the way. This is a perfect bait and switch situation. Vortex attempts to get the bomb down, and to be fair to Rocker, they do stop him.
They do stop him. Lucky's also able to find a second over by the AS&D, and I think that they ended up catching at least Vortex mid-plant, so they are more than aware that the bomb is down over in this position. Gizmo trying to push out the bottom side, or top side of Church, will be cut down, forcing on a 1v1, though, is Furious with that trade.
Oh, he runs right into Lucky around the back line, but what a massive round for Rocker Academy. They felt like they were kind of in a really tough position there. Ultra Academy, they felt like they got a strat deep from their books there.
Yeah, I mean, Ultra Academy EU splitting the map 2-2. We have seen tests like that. You overwhelm at least one island player inside of the communication center, and then you're able to push all the way through, keeping the rest of the enemy team on defense trapped inside of the backside of Church, if not over by the field. It just does not work out in Ultra Academy EU's favor, because the two players for Ultra EU that were trying to plant the bomb over at A end up getting flanked, and then they end up getting cut down from the middle of the map and by Lucky as well. Beans breaks out the sniper, finally takes down Lucky for first.
Yeah, oh, Beans with a second as well. Give him 3. Come on, Sukri. Get your head up. It's like whack-a-mole. Pretty good player, it would seem. Beans at this position. But Sukri's very, very scared. He will not challenge right now. Sukri playing his life. And this gives Ultra Academy EU quite a lot of real estate on the map. But Sukri not caring this time around. He will pop his head up, take Beans out of the play. The problem is, though, elsewhere, Real has fallen. And now for Sukri in this position. A 1v3. It would have been an ace, but he will be denied such a thing. Ultra Academy EU put themselves here on map point.
And it's one thing that we didn't end up highlighting when it comes down to Ultra Academy EU as a whole. Some of their biggest success at being 5-0 in Search and Destroy, walking into the series versus Rocker Academy. A lot of their success came through from not only Furious being able to find those first bloods, but you also have Beans, who's been undeniable with the Kar 98K. All through week number 1, they have been finding themselves about 54% of first blood engagements themselves, and has a 1.39 overall KD when it comes down to Search and Destroy as a whole. So on this Ultra Academy EU roster, when it comes down to Search, it's just absolutely filthy. 7-6 for Beans, 7-3 for Furious.
It's exactly what we were saying coming into this series, right? Those are the players that we expected to step up for Ultra Academy, and they have done, and you're seeing firsthand exactly why they are so potent at this map mode combination. As Furious draws first blood once again, the stats continue to fall in his favor. Sukri, Lucky, and Metals, what can they do here in the situation? Well, Furious jumps high from the heavens, and Metals will punish him for such a play, but Beans in with the trade. So now Metals and Lucky left up. They are relatively close together in this situation, but the bomb now down. This has to be fast.
Yeah, Metals puts themselves in a 1-for-1 position. This nade needs to be massive. Now, Steve-O will force their hand over towards the defense side of U. Damage will be there, but the moment that Metals tries to chase for the trade, it's just too far gone. And any numbers disadvantaged like that, trying to challenge out over by the Ruin side, is just going to be such an uphill battle. And Metals probably more than aware of that, needed to be able to fish out that trade, but how would you ever assume that there was automatically going to be a player over by the tree head box watching the entirety of the Ruin side? So, again, when it comes down to it, Ultra Academy EU on Search and Destroy still undefeated when it comes down to Challengers Elite Season 3. They do a bang-up job at making sure that they read all the tendencies coming out from Rocker Academy. And one of those tendencies was that Lucky with the sniper was a non-benefactor. Once Real stopped instigating and finding these first bloods, keep in mind the rest of the map was just all Ultra Academy EU's side. I mean, Furious from there on out was being able to walk away with it. Beans broke out the Kar 98K, was making Lucky look silly as far as that sniper duel 1v1 is concerned, walking away with 2 pieces with it as well. It's just one of those insanity factors that just constantly sets up this Ultra Academy EU for so much success on Search and Destroy.
Yeah, and I gotta say as well, I think probably the most important stat line we can talk about here for the Search and Destroy, and I think it's one we kind of set up as we went into it, is that first blood column ultimately. And I think, with the exception of the 2 rounds we saw, I think we saw a 2v4 coming in from both Rocker Academy and Ultra EU, where effectively in those situations, the opposing team managed to get the first blood for those rounds. Every other round was basically whoever got the first blood managed to win the round. It was just so potent, and you know, we look at Furious there, 4 first bloods to his name out of the 8 kills that he managed to get. He is just such an annoyance to play against in Search and Destroy. I gotta imagine the Rocker Academy like, this guy again every time that they fall foul to him. So Ultra Academy walking away with 6-2 victory there. It's not all that different to what we saw, what was it, last week, where they lost 2-6 in Search and Destroy to Team War as well, in that 3-0 that we referenced at the very start of today. So things in Search and Destroy not as rosy right now for Rocker Academy. They need to improve in the series, because they are now 2-0 down to the Ultra Academy U side. One more map, they get 3-0'd once again, and that is not the start to week 2 that they wanted. Map number 3 will be coming up though right after this break. Welcome back, everybody, to Call of Duty Challengers Elite for Season 3 here. We're 2 maps deep into the face-off between Toronto Ultra Academy EU and Rocker Academy, the battle of the academies, as it were. And so far, the former of those two teams, 2-0 up. Both, I would say, Andy, convincing victories for the Toronto side.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely feeling pretty darn good after their cup win this past weekend. Again, shout out to Gizmo filling the shoes of Harry that then got brought up to London Royal Ravens. It's one of those things that when we were kind of criticizing them after week number 1 is that they were like, we were looking at this as if like, wow, this team looks rather disjointed. It almost feels like they brought in a whole new player and they don't exactly have all the practice underneath their belt. Well, now we're here in week number 2 and that excuse has been thrown out the window and they look pretty darn good with one another. They are looking a lot more confident. The trust is all there, and you can see that from the executes that we saw from the rotational battles there on the hardpoint, and also the adaptational reads coming through on the Search and Destroy is something that we were already able to point out in week number 1. But over towards this Berlin Control, I think is going to be continuously telling of how this Ultra Academy EU do play off of one another. And also to be able to see what Rocker Academy do look like on the Berlin Control as well. This is their first time playing it. They finally got rid of the Gavutu Control. Toronto Ultra Academy EU, they vetoed out the Tuscan. Rocker Academy EU, they wanted none of that smoke on the Italian streets. They wanted to do it down here in Berlin.
Yeah, I think this is the right, ultimately, I think, for this squad. It's kind of funny in a way, because we were discussing Gavutu Control for Rocker Academy, and looking at kind of how important it was to maybe their victory, and all the way back in Season 1, we should say, well, because obviously they brought it out for playoffs. I hadn't really played, I think I played it once, moving into playoffs, and that was about it. And, you know, I think it's been less and less of a boon of success for this team, to the point where now in Season 3, despite it being the only map they have played so far, I just don't think they're seeing as much success on it as they otherwise would like. Of course, I will say my other concern here moving in towards this Control is we do not want to see what we saw between Rocker and Team War on Control. This is a different map, I get it, but if you remember back to that, Rocker Academy, they were 2-1 up. It was back-to-back offensive victories for Team War for them to 3-0 the series. That cannot happen here again from Rocker. I think we need to see improvements from week 1 to week 2 there.
And Berlin is a little bit of a head start when it comes down to retaking that A zone, right? Because you can get caught, I guess, in the mix in a way that you can over egregiously challenge to be able to find that first pick and then maybe try to go recontest mail. It does not work out the same way here on Berlin Control. The best way to think about it as a defensive team here on Berlin Control, I know a lot of viewers and players at home are still trying to wrap their heads around how to play the new map here inside of the mode of Control. The best way to think about it is rotating from 1 all the way inside of 2. One player cannot do it by themselves. You always have to be more than aware that that B lane is going to be looked at, whether it's inside the hut, over by the dock house itself, because you know that the offensive team is going to be spawning on the backside of the warehouse. Angle becomes a little bit more potent to be able to retake it just as a solo player. Off the rip, though, it will be offense for Ultra Academy EU. They want to go for this B zone first. You love to see it.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those risky plays, right out the gate, straight towards B you go. This is the harder point to take control of, so it's the one you want to grab very quickly. And straight away here are Furious and Gizmo. Furious able to win a second fight there in a row. So actually, for Ultra Academy EU here, this is progress right out of the gate. And this is not a good indicator here for Rocker Academy. There needs to be an answer back pretty quickly. I don't know if they're going to get an opportunity to do that as Vortex and Gizmo combine for 3. B has already fallen by the wayside. Well, what a pick of the season for Ultra Academy as they kick off Control with a blazing B capture.
Yeah, and look at the map as well. I mean, the entirety of Ultra Academy, they are spread all the way through the middle of the map. You still have Gizmo pushing all the way through. They have still not died, keep in mind. Real off screen might be looking at least for that trade. They'll be able to find it, but even more so than that, Rocker Academy chalking that B zone. Try to at least put Metals in a position inside of Mail to be able to deny any Ultra EU players from getting set up inside of the zone itself, but they lose out on the opening gunfight. Now numbers are here for Ultra Academy EU, but Rocker Academy not too far out from the windows to try to recontest it.
And Metal's still here. He will get shut down, so they haven't quite cleared the plague that is Ultra Academy just yet. Gizmo still in and around the point, and it won't be long before the rest of his friends join him inside. Gizmo has been spotted out by Sukri, and Sukri loses the 1v1. Nicely done by Gizmo along those steps to take that player down. Beans of another one as well means that there now should be an attempt at the very least to try and capture this point from Ultra. Here we go. The first tick will come through. Look at the free stack coming through as well. This is going to send Rocker Academy into a frenzy. There's no point trying trying to save lives here. You've just got to go at it. I don't think they have any autonomy in this situation whatsoever. Nobody from Rokkr is touching that point, and that is a clean round number 1 victory there for Ultra.
Yeah, just as I was talking about the defensive team trying to recontest over by the A zone, the best way to think about hitting the B zone off the rip for Ultra Academy EU on offense there, it's just like spawning on the unfavored side of the map on Berlin Hardpoint. To be able to break inside P1, you win the opening gunfights, you find an engagement through the middle of the map over by the statue, and then you're able to work your way up through the upper courtyard stairs, right? From there on out, they just continue to set up their automatons to watching those longer lines of sight and denied any Rokkr Academy nuances to come all the way back through to be able to recontest that B zone with Gizmo starting off 6-1. You can already tell where a lot of the influence was coming from. Rokkr Academy, though, on their offense, they're slow rolling their way over towards B, trying to catch Ultra off in some unforced errors, but although Sucre is able to at least find one, Gizmo is able to turn back for the trade, plus an extra.
Yeah, and we talk about kind of a mirror play, if you will, from what we saw in round number 1 to round number 2. How about that? Rokkr Academy, their attempt at B is shut down pretty cleanly. But no matter here for the Spanish, as Rokkr Academy managed to make their way in towards A. They will have one threat in from behind, and that's going to be Gizmo, who's currently on 5 in a row. A nice nade. These teams, by the way, have got their nades down to a T at this point in the game. Everybody knows exactly where to nade. Those nade spots have been learned perfectly, and that one right there is going to stop Gizmo off the back of that spree. But as we say that, it's going to be A capture coming through from Rokkr Academy. Ultra deciding not to put any resources into it.
And they're already in towards the back as well. Real needs to be able to coordinate this pinch. The information is there that they still had one player inside of the train station itself. That is Furious, who is still staying alive, keep in mind you. And Beans is cutting down players over inside of the spawn as well. The knowledge of Real, he will be scouted out. That'll be both Gizmo and Stevo taking them down over by the concourse staircase. So now the map has fully reset, more or less. With Beans' position on the map, that's going to force Rokkr Academy to spawn all the way in Narnia, more or less, to try to re-assault over by this B zone into the waiting arms of Vortex. They will find one, but it's still kind of dwindling down the numbers for any offensive attempt. They have a minute and 40 left, and lives are even across the board.
Indeed, Rokkr Academy, they're trying to kind of filter players through in from behind. Lucky going to get stopped short of that. Furious with the second as well. Given number 3, I mean, he runs straight into the opening with a rat, to be fair. I think Sucre kind of deserved that 1v1 kill there. But regardless, there's still quite a lot of time here for Ultra Academy, or for Rokkr Academy, apologies, to do something in this situation. They just need to get going as a team, and they just need to do it, to be honest, as quickly as humanly possible so you can get as many hits in as possible. But they're getting pushed back at the moment. Gizmo starting to push his way in towards the train station. It won't be long before Furious comes and joins the party, and there it is. He's able to take down 2, and Rokkr once again less disjointed in the play. Furious on 3, number 4 right in front of him. That is going to be Metals, and he's going to get Sucre instead, but nonetheless, Furious has played there, 4 kills straight. That'll push Rokkr back.
And although you would love to scream the success of Metals being able to find a trade plus an extra as well, you can see the numbers for Rokkr Academy currently on the map itself. It's not in a position to be able to push all the way inside the B zone. Ultra Academy EU are constantly finding these flanks, these avenues to get into the backside spawn of Rokkr Academy to be able to dwindle their numbers to ever 4-player assault over inside this B zone. But now they're in towards the concourse stairs. Real needs to go big here. It's able to find 2, but the trade's still there. Rokkr Academy do not have numbers to step on the B zone.
Yeah, and it might be too little too late. We need to see some heroics from Rokkr Academy right about now. Sucre will win that first blood, but with 19 seconds left, you've got to imagine that he probably needs to do a little bit more here for the rest of his team. Puts the shots in towards Beans, but again, it's just making these players weak. 10 seconds now left on the clock. Can Sucre find his way in? You've also got Lucky on the other side. 4v4. Metals actually wins that first blood. Somebody can touch the point gear and stop the clock. It will be huge. Beans gets taken down. Lucky and Metals now in for the point. Now it's Lucky 1v2. He gets caught between the last couple of players, and Ultra Academy, they hold strong. But I will give Rokkr Academy a fair bit of pressure there, or a fair bit of credit there. The pressure they put in behind Andy was pretty good.
Yeah, it just, you were hoping that they were going to be able to influence that play coming off of the A-zone capture. Immediately capturing the A-zone, Rokkr Academy were able to find players inside of the lobby through the upper courtyard side. But again, Ultra Academy EU immediately sent Beans all the way over by the railroad tracks, and they were able to cut down a handful of reinforcements along the way. From there on out, they were cycling players like Vortex, Gizmo, Furious to be able to hit through the concourse side of the map and to be able to influence more and more spawn kills, just keeping Rokkr Academy's numbers at bay. Now you have to reverse sweep in the control just to stay alive in this series. Rokkr Academy are doing well to win the opening engagement. They haven't even lost a single life.
Yeah, this is a much better start from Rocker Academy. I think they put a little bit more effort here into defending B right off the rip, and Ultra Academy this time around will not get even a second on it. And I like the rotation coming out from Metals as well to make sure that that rotation over towards A does not work out. So 50 seconds on the clock here. Ultra Academy U kind of want to get some progression on towards A at the very least, but Metal's going to go straight in for the kill versus Furious. Should get caught here by Vortex, and now here comes the first opening for Ultra in the round. They've also got Gizmo open towards B. If he can maybe distract these guys, pull off some heroics, it'll be huge. He almost turns and burns on towards Sukri there, but does get taken down. But it is all but a ruse, as Gizmo just looking to draw the attention of Rocker Academy. Can anybody from the Rocker side touch this A before this capture comes on through? I think they're definitely going to go for it, but Furious is there watching towards Broken, and A will be secured.
Yeah, it's 60 seconds added on towards the board as well, and even off-screen, Lucky gets scouted out outside of Mail as well. That's one of those egregious pushes that I was alluding to earlier on, and now you can see the white players on the mini-map right now, the arrows inside of lobby already. They took down Lucky in towards the back. Now, Rocker Academy, they should be more than aware of this. You just got to be able to work this pinch, be able to deal with these players inside the B zone. They've already done well to be able to take down Gizmo. Last player will be Vortex. They will reset the map, but boy howdy did that get very scary, because Rocker Academy, again, with this 3-life lead, you just got to be able to put yourself in a position to be able to find these trades, kind of work this game clock a little bit, as there's only a minute left.
Real's pretty far pushed up here in the moment. Of course, this is kind of what you want if you're Rocker Academy, right? As you say, there's only 60 seconds left on the clock for Ultra Academy, so the further you push them back in the situation, the easier the round victory will be. But Metal's getting a little bit aggressive towards that train side, does get shut down, so this should give an opening here to Ultra Academy EU, especially as Beans will follow up the 1v1 against Lucky. Vortex now in from behind towards the patio sides as well. Gizmo's 1-1, so you need to make sure you take Real down, but Vortex has his eyes on towards Lucky. Hugh will get taken down. Sukri to take down Gizmo as well, and a pretty well put together push, I will admit, from Ultra Academy EU does get shut down. 30 seconds left on the clock here. Perhaps one more go at this. If you're Ultra, you get 3 down, and now the only other player for Rocker Academy is over towards the mailroom side. So for Ultra Academy EU here in this position, you're in a great position here moving forward. Progress starting to be made. Rocker, you don't have time to mess around. You're sending 2 players on the flank. Bean's able to win the first gunfight. Now they just need to turn around. Can those players do anything? Lucky will fall. Metals surely gonna fall as well. He will take down 1. Beans with 2 though towards the other side, and the capture is through. Ultra Academy with a 3-0 in the control, a 3-0 in the series. My goodness me, what an eclectic control performance there from the Toronto side.
And you highlighted it wonderfully there. During the retake, you had 2 players for Rocker Academy trying to commit towards the flank. There's a lot of blind trust that obviously has to come through there, right? You have to rely on your ARs coming out from lobby to be able to deal with the players inside of the train office itself. And it just was not the case. I want to say every single time, even going back to the Berlin Hardpoint itself, when Ultra Academy EU were inside of the office, recognizing that they had Rocker Academy players inside of lobby, the ARs like Gizmo was just lighting things ablaze from those little head glitches that they have from the desk itself. That when that blind trust falters and the 2 players on the flank need to try to full-on rush through the stained glass window side, they're going to get immediately gunned, and things are not going to work in your favor, because Ultra Academy EU, they only saw 2 players coming out from lobby through the upper courtyard. By proxy alone, you know that they're going to be coming through from the flank itself. That obviously you also have to kind of tip your hat to Bean to be able to win that very crucial 1v1. The last player for Rocker Academy to maybe try to contest that B zone just comes up with it, and the last player for Rocker Academy could not get inside the B zone to be able to contest for that little last bit of tick progression that came all the way through. Ultra Academy EU, all questions have been answered. Are they going to be more comfortable with one another? Absolutely. They look absolutely sublime, flourishing as this 4-player squad with one another, and they did a fantastic job at enabling one newcomer to this Ultra Academy EU roster, Joey Gizmo. 21-14, 2,200 damage, only had 5 traded kills along the way, and was averaging just about 440 damage per round with that automaton, was cleaning up everything this side of the Mississippi, Brody. Rocker Academy just simply had no answer for it.
Yeah, and I think, you know, for Rocker Academy here in this best of 5, we can take a look over towards the stat lines there at the end of the game. We can take a look kind of what went right for Ultra, as you say. Gizmo at 21-14. Jeez, I mean, like, I think this is the thing as well. In week number 1, maybe Gizmo looked a little bit uncomfortable with this team, and I think you and I kind of noted that at the end of the week, as it were, like, this is teething problems, right? At the end of the day, this is the new addition to the lineup. He has to get used to kind of how the team works and such, even if he's played with at least 2 of these players before. And I think now in week number 2, these guys, they look infinitely more comfortable. We saw that in the Challengers Cup victory. Everything looks good for this roster, and we'll talk about that in just a second here. But I kind of want to talk about the Rokkr Academy side first and foremost, because towards the end of the series, this is now another 3-0 loss that they've taken versus a top team. Of course, the first being Team War in that final match of week number 1. They've lost against Ultra Academy EU now. Looking forward here for this Rokkr Academy side, Andy. We already said coming into this week, right, that this is going to be a tough week for them. They had Ultra Academy first. They've still got AIM as well to take down. I think Soleo Signs is their last match as well, or a second to last match, I think, chronologically speaking. Those are not easy opponents to take down, generally speaking. And them losing to Ultra Academy EU, I mean, look, I think they've still got a battle ahead of them.
A battle, to say the least. I mean, the Spanish versus the French here in Call of Duty is something that we have been marveling and having a great time casting over throughout the entirety of the Vanguard season thus far. But to go up against AIM, that's going to be a very tough opponent. And that could very much so be the decider on whether or not they even get a favorable series record to be able to qualify to be a top 4 team. That is massive. We have not had a playoff so far in the Challengers Elite that has not shown Rokkr Academy there. They won Season 1, came up short in Season 2, and then ever since the Minnesota Open, they went through this roster swap, and things are looking disjointed, to say the least, as they get completely milli-whopped on that second set of rotations on the Berlin hardpoint, get absolutely run amok on the adaptations that came through from Ultra EU on the Tusken Search and Destroy. And then blink and you might have missed that Berlin control, because Ultra Academy EU were seemingly not losing gunfights. But I say that it's going to be a very tough road for them in the deciding factor, because currently as it is standing, AIM are up versus Team War 2-0, winning the Berlin hardpoint themselves by 125 points. And then they also just won a round 11 Tusken Search and Destroy. AIM is playing a little different here in Season 3, Brody.
Ooh. Alrighty, I mean, that does set things up quite spicy, doesn't it, for this, the inevitable, what do we refer it as, the Spanish E Clasico, as it were?
Yeah,
is
El
that like,
Clasico, yeah.
Well, I suppose it is just the El Clasico, isn't it, at the moment, because, technically they are the 2 best Spanish teams, and that is, I think that's the football origin of the El Clasico, right? I don't know at this point, honestly. Regardless, I think, looking towards this best of 5, Ultra Academy EU, I think the big takeaways here, they won the hardpoint. I think that was the biggest thing coming out of the week number 1. Their hardpoint didn't look good. I think they would say as much as well. I think specifically looking towards game number, the very first match versus Mistaken, in no universe, I think, should that team be losing hard points to Mistaken. I don't mean that in any slight towards Mistaken. I just think you look at the talent on this Ultra side, travel days or whatever kind of excuse you want to make up. I think they'll have been disappointed with that. Nonetheless, they walk away with a victory here today, and they'll be feeling pretty good, I think, off the back of that, especially obviously as well as the Search and Destroy and the Control went splendidly for this roster. Nonetheless, it's a 3-0 towards the Ultra Academy EU side over Rokkr Academy. Our first match of the day will be done. We've got some more Call of Duty coming up, though. Nonetheless, our first set of matches are not done just yet, so we'll have some more Call of Duty right after this break.
Tune back into the music. You know how to do this. Don't second guess. This not a test. It's not a race. No black or white. Everything's great. No yesterday, never tomorrow. Only the present. That is your gift. It benefits you only if open. Everyone's chosen. Beauty of choice. You can stay silent. Forget your voice. You can malign them. Hold a grudge. Or stand before judge. Just stay in your case. Top of the notion that you were just a mere drop in the ocean. This is your moment. Fear is a Trojan horse. When you open or close your doors. Just when you feel like it's too much. Just when you feel like you've had enough. Take a step back from the edge and take a deep breath. Dance like you'll never. Dance like you'll never. Sometimes you don't like where you live. Sometimes you don't really like your kids. Sometimes you grow out of your friends. Sometimes
Welcome back, everybody, here to Call of Duty Challengers Elite for season number 3. We just saw Toronto Ultra Academy U take down Rocker 3-0. We said before the break, though, that is not the only match going on right now, Andy. Of course, there's 3 matches going on simultaneously, and pretty much all of those matches right now, one way or another, are either in map number 3 or have just finished map number 3, right? And I think looking at these first set of matches, it's kind of interesting in a way, because we had Toronto taking on Rocker Academy. Obviously, that's a 3-1 versus a 3-1 team right now, coming into week number 2. And then, of course, we had another 3-1 versus 3-1 matchup in AIM Esports versus Team War. And then, obviously, the other side, of course, you have, like, kind of the teams in the lower half of our standings. Let's just break this down real quick for everybody at home, give everybody updates on kind of what is going on, starting maybe with that AIM and War matchup.
Yeah, so, I mean, AIM able to beat War on the opening hardpoint. That was a Berlin hardpoint. They won by 125 points, 250-125. And then the Desert Sea Search and Destroy went to a round 11, of which AIM came out on top of. And the way that things are kind of shaking up for this AIM roster, again, you know, they had a very unfortunate outcome when it came down to the previous cup, probably trying to practice a whole bunch of different maps, but they did not get the outcome that they were looking for nonetheless. But versus other European teams here in Challengers Elite Season 3, they've obviously been able to showcase their strengths. You know, their only loss along the way so far is a map 5 loss versus Haleo Signs, where they got absolutely milli-whopped on a Tuscan Search and Destroy. So it's immediate turnarounds for me personally, looking at this AIM Esports roster, formerly known as Dos Tontos, for us here on the broadcast. But going up against that Team War roster, I think that was supposed to be a very competitive match. But although it might obviously look like one as far as Search and Destroy is concerned, you somehow have to beat an undefeated AIM Esports roster on a Gavutu Control. It's not looking too likely, as Nixa and Silio Signs, another matchup that is happening right now, are currently tied up 1-1 going into their Gavutu Control. And Invincibles just beat Dizzy's Rascals on the Gavutu Control 3-2, which means that they'll take the series 3-0 as well, Brody.
And that's an important matchup as well, right? Because we were talking about kind of Dizzy's Rascals and Invincibles. If you guys were paying attention when we brought up the standings at the beginning of the broadcast, I think Invincibles were 2-2, I want to say. I'm doing this off the top of my head, by the way, so if this is wrong, I apologize. I think they were 2-2, and I think Dizzy's Rascals were 1-3. And that is massive, of course, because Dizzy's Rascals, I think they have a very important week coming up, and that first loss, I think it probably sets them back a little bit too far, because we look at their week number 1 performance, and I know we're going to be talking about this later on in the broadcast, so I'm kind of maybe getting ahead of ourselves a little bit here, but nonetheless, that Dizzy's Rascals roster, and they faced, I want to say, Toronto, they faced War, and they faced Rocker in week number 1, and they lost all 3 matches, and to be fair to them, like you're getting out of the way, pretty much, those matches straight out of the way. Everything, I think, for this team now, it needs to be important, I think, for Dizzy's Rascals. So yeah, we'll see kind of how it goes for Dizzy's Rascals moving forward. But that loss, I think, versus Invincibles, they are now 1-4. It is going to make things very tough, because now I think they kind of rely on a 3-way tie effectively to get through to playoffs. Obviously, we don't know that factually, but that is more than likely not kind of how we're expecting things to go.
I mean,
go ahead.
Here's the thing with Dizzy's Rascals, right, Brody, is that they need a head-to-head win versus to the Invincibles. They're going to put themselves in an awkward position that they have to try to win out versus AIM Esports later on, and then they also have to somehow beat Nixa, which you would assume would be a very competitive matchup, but not having a head-to-head versus AIM, Team War, Ultra Academy EU, and Rocker Academy even thus far, this is going to be a destiny out of their hands so far for Dizzy's Rascals to compete for playoffs.
It's going to be tough, isn't it? 1-4 at Dizzy's Rascals at the end of the first set of matches here in day number 3. Of course, they next face AIM Esports in what is going to be an assured banger. I cannot wait to see what AIM look like in week number 2 here. Of course, you guys probably can't wait either, but you're going to have to. We're going to send it to a break. When we return, we're going to have that matchup and more after this. Welcome back, everybody, to Call of Duty Challengers Elite for season number 3. We're about to get into our second set of matches of the day here with Europe. And, well, our next match is AIM Esports going head-to-head with Dizzy's Rascals. Two teams in very different positions here, Andy. Of course, the former 4-1 now off the back of a 3-0 victory in their last matchup versus Team War. I think that's an incredible victory for the roster. Of course, Dizzy's Rascals now 1-4. Of course, they just got 3-0'd versus Invincible. So this is like do or die time now for this Dizzy's Rascals roster.
Yeah, again, as we were talking about before we ended up hopping to the extended break while we were waiting for these teams to do their veto process, it's one of those things for Dizzy's Rascals that not only do you have to win out, but you have to beat what is unarguably the one, if not second best team that we have here in Season 3 of the Elite. The only other team that is 4-1 right now, we just saw, is Ultra Academy EU. And the one thing that is hindering Dizzy's Rascals to be able to make their way into top four for playoffs at the end of the round-robin stage, of course, is that they need a head-to-head win versus one of these top teams, while also boasting their series record along the way. As you can take a look at it, it's just one of those things that they are just not in a great spot, Brody. I mean, being 1-4, that's almost like a death sentence down there, along with Nixa, who doesn't have a single series win with only 4 maps. Soleo Signs would probably be the only team that might be able to beckon a top 4 position, given how Rocker Academy just lost unceremoniously to Ultra Academy EU.
Yeah, and I think the important thing to talk about in terms of that Dizzy Rascals, not just the win percentage record in terms of the matches, but actually the 8-12 map win-loss record we see there, is that they did just get 3-0'd by Invincibles, and we were talking about kind of potentially looking to force a 3-way tie, of course, because that's, you know, you and I, we've seen many a Challengers Elite season, whether it be casting them here or watching them from our comfortable beds or what have you, you know. We've looked at permutations for the final day to try and make your way into playoffs, and every single time you're in one of these kind of head-to-head situations where you're trying to force a 3-way tie, 4-way tie, perhaps even a 5-way tie, it's all about that map win percentage, and being 3-0'd versus a team that might also be in that head-to-head situation. It's not a good spot to be in. So those guys will be looking for a victory here. At least a few maps to the name would be good. Of course, shout out to our observers once again, though. Waldo and Shane, they actually popped in to see us a couple of seconds ago. A bunch of nice guys. And, of course, they are great observers as well. So shout out to those guys. But in towards the Gavutu hardpoint we go from map number 1 between Dizzy's Rascals and AIM. An important map here for Dizzy's Rascals, and that's an important start too.
Yeah, Gavutu Hardpoint is one of those map mode combinations, actually, that we have seen Dizzy's Rascals on in the past on this very broadcast. They are 2-1 overall versus the AIM Esports roster, again, formerly Dos Tontos, that was 3-1. So it'll be quite interesting to be able to see how these two teams do combat. And historically, this AIM Esports roster has struggled on this map mode combination, though here in Season 3, they have immediately turned it around. Set nades over the top will start this P1 Hardpoint as traditional 50-50. And Dizzy's Rascals are actually doing a bang-up job at just cementing themselves here on the concrete stairs as well. They can seemingly do no wrong, as Henry has still yet to die, starting off on the 3 spree.
This is a great start from Dizzy's Rascals, right? I mean, this is exactly
Flawless.
what you want. Yeah, this, as you say, flawless. This is exactly what you want. Obviously, Whalers and Henry both right now combining for 7 as Henry picks up 4 in a row. But now it's going to be about this rotation. Can Dizzy's Rascal break on early on here? Can AIM hold on towards this rotational hill as Eric Boone will pick up 1. BB Connor in for 2. The trade, still technically speaking, in favor of AIM, as Super is watching that backline to make sure that the flank does not come on through. But it is worth noting, Henry still has not died off this early spree, by the way. 1 more kill, he earns a glide bomb, but as the caster's curse comes through, he will fall. And, well, Dizzy's Rascals, I mean, they might have a couple of players in, but that streak will probably have been something they wanted.
Very unfortunate timing for Whalers to leave top green. They will immediately be met by a nade that was cooked up by Yako. Trades are still good, though. Off Dizzy's Rascals walking away with about 40 points off of P1. You don't have to outright win this rotation. You can see Dizzy's Rascals, they don't want to overinvest numbers to try to fully break inside P2. They have to hold the east side of the map. P3 is one of our first money hills that we do have here on Gavutu. The last 2 kills do come through from Yako. They'll find themselves on a 3 spree. And that scrap of scrap time will go into the bank of AIM Esports. But now the next Goliath attempt has to come all the way through. Somehow they have to break P3.
Dizzy's Rascals, they're going to be the ones over here first and foremost. This is going to be a tough hill to break, but generally speaking, when teams do break, it's around the back line, and that's where Eric and currently Super will be looking. I think Eric recognizes that maybe the delay in the push meant that players will be spawning behind him, but he's actually just going to be outplaying Dizzy there in the play. Looking for the second as well. He will find it. Eric Boom. It's eclectic plays coming from the man, the myth, the legend, as he will pick up 2 kills and AIM. They force their way into the hard point for the last 35 seconds.
And it cannot go understated here that AIM Esports, they needed. It was was required to be able to get that break for the back 30 seconds, and that's going to force the respect for these Rascals to concede the back end of the scrap time, try to put themselves in a position to win the rotation. 2 players actually spawn all the way to the bottom side of green, so they're going to be late to this rotation in the setup, but that's going to be okay because they know that AIM Esports are still playing for the back 10 seconds here on P3. They're able to get it. It'll be a very small flip of the lead for the time being, but just as hard as it is to break P3, they'll find them some similar difficulty trying to break into the back of 4.
Well, it's going to be Dizzy's Rascals touching once again, as you say, but nice nade from Eric Boom to cook that one up. That's 6 in a row now. Now, we saw Henry get cut down short of 7 previously. Can Eric Boom be a little bit more successful? He will have to do it all on his lonesome. Henry with 2. And how fitting it is, by the way, that Henry is the player to take him down, of course, being in that streak position previously. So, streaks denied now for both of these sides, and more importantly, I think here for Dizzy's Rascals, that denied AIM Esports entry in towards the hard point for now. 30 seconds left. You give this a couple more hits. If you're AIM, still looking to push in from the front. Henry is there. He will get shut down, and AIM now have managed to find their way on through. So this 20 seconds is an important chunk of time for Dizzy's Rascals. It's about trying to get out of that beach spawn trap and making your way towards the rotation.
Yeah, and you said it wonderfully. Getting out of that beach spawn trap, you saw where AIM Esports were spawning in at, and that's on the bottom side of Clip, so they're able to reinforce this P4 hardpoint just as quickly as Dizzy's Rascals would be as well. And holding this from the front is more of a suppressive tactic than it is anything. It's going to force Dizzy's Rascals to concede it, and they have to hit through the beach side as well. Look at AIM Esports, the way they're set up here on 5. It's going to leave Eric Boom set up on an island over by these rocks trying to deal with Dizzy. They read it, they cut him down, and that's going to keep Dizzy's Rascals trapped over on the west side of the map, guaranteeing the initial 20 here on 5.
Big rotation coming in from AIM. Of course, they didn't win the last couple, so this is going to be big for them to try and hold for the full 60. Super with a bit of sneaky spot at the moment. We'll be spotting out Henry, who peeks his head over towards that LST. Super is just going to keep it down, though, for now, especially as the rest of his team will fall around him. So for AIM, regain control of the hill right now, especially as given the fact that Henry has already just picked up 2. Dizzy with another one as well. Dizzy's Rascals have managed to find their way on through. And for AIM, spawning all the way out now with 15 seconds left, you have to imagine the battle for the rotation becomes all the more important. But, Andy, at the end of the first set here, Dizzy's Rascals, they are keeping up with AIM in style.
Yeah, I mean, you say in style, but the big chunk of that, at least competitiveness, comes through by allowing 45 seconds to come through on P1 for AIM Esports, right? If they were able to at least recontest, break it, if not get continuously contested over by P2, we'd probably be looking at a very different game. As you can see going in towards the second set of hard points, that AIM Esports, they are able to get the trades required coming off of the P5 rotation inside of New, and that means that they can sink their teeth in quite wonderfully here on the anti-air gun.
Yeah, AIM, this is going to be a lot of time for them to pick up, and every single kill is basically going their way as well. So this is going as well as you'd like. If you could think about it, if you're AIM, Yakko able to pick up one of those kills. Going to have to come back, though, towards the hard point as Eric Boom has fallen. Wait for the rest of your squad here. Retreat momentarily, but this is still a big chunk of time. I think Dizzy's Rascals are going to have to give away here unless they want to send just the one more player towards the hill. That'll be BB Connor, but he does actually get shut down. So starting to think about the rotation here are Dizzy's Rascals. They had a player up top towards the top of the LST. Does get shut down. Dizzy going to fall as well. So actually this first wave of kills has been pretty good for AIM. How about this for rotation? Dizzy's Rascals pushed all the way back towards green. These rotational battles being won at the moment by the same side.
Yeah, and they are continuously setting up what gave them so much success going in towards the first set of hardpoints from P1 in towards 2. The biggest difference is that you have a lot of zoning pressure from Yakko down low on a 5 spree inside a cage. BB Connor needs to be able to fish out this tree, but he can't find it. Yakko just rips his heads ablaze, and that even more so kind of puts more pressure on the Dizzy's Rascals, because losing the rotation is the first thing, but unable to contest P2 off the rip, that is even more damning and alarming, because Dizzy's Rascals, they are down horrendously. It's about to be a 70-plus point lead, growing ever more so for AIM Esports over Dizzy's Rascals. They're hitting through the middle of the map. Trades will be there, but you're giving up a lot of map positioning to try to recontest P2 that if these gunfights didn't go your way, it was about to be an avenue of success that AIM Esports might be able to slip all the way through and recontest the P3 spawns. Luckily enough, Dizzy's Rascals, they win the returning gunfights here, Brody. They can set themselves up for P3 while also at least getting some contested time, but AIM Esports just 40 points away from closing out the game.
And they cannot let AIM break in as they did last time around. You got to remember how that one went, right? Eric Boom managed to get 2 crucial gunfights. This time around, it's Journey, the new boy on the block for AIM Esports. 2 kills around the backline. That should influence the spawn sufficiently. It doesn't matter about these kills necessarily because there it is. The spawns have now come on through. And for Dizzy's Rascals here, you can technically fight this one from the front. It would, I guess, bear fruit, wouldn't it, for that next inevitable rotation. But it is a long 30 to 40 seconds ahead of them. Nonetheless, that first wave of gunfights will come through, and it's going to be Dizzy's Rascals winning them.
I love this setup coming through from Dizzy's Rascals as well. I mean, from Journey being able to find that kill over by the beach rock, they know that AIM Esports are going to be spawning on the backside of green, so they're setting themselves up on the front side of P3, trying to soak up hardpoint time, while also putting themselves inside of top ring as well. Look at the minimap. They're actually trying to win the rotation from 3 to 4, while 3 is still active. They'll leave Whalers behind on a 5 spree to potentially get themselves some streaks, while also guaranteeing themselves some scrap time. But now the trust has to be here for the 3 other players. Dizzy, Henry, BB Connor need to win this rotation to lock down 4.
And Henry and BB Connor going to lose their gunfights, so now just down to the former of those 3 players. Dizzy, the new boy here for Dizzy's Rascals, the namesake for the roster, has to go huge. The first kill is in. Eric Boom still left to deal with, of course, as Supra now going to come and help out. Dizzy is still here, and he wins the 1v1, so now this is much more tenable for Dizzy's Rascals. They're going to spawn in the backline here. AIM will be well aware of that fact. These gunfights need to be won for the Dizzy's Rascals side. Quite frankly, they cannot do it. 20 seconds left on the clock here. Dizzy's Rascals, you gotta go now. Can anybody touch the hard point in time? Journey, he's lining them up, taking 2 down, just BB Connor and Henry, and Yakko on the flank to put the nail in this one. Just 13 seconds away, and now it's AIM spawning in the backline here. Journey, he's gonna be covering the mid-map, able to take down a couple of players. Can anybody from Dizzy's Rascals force the next hard point? Surely somebody can touch. I don't think they're gonna be able to, and AIM will walk away with the map 1 victory.
And again, barring what ended up happening on P1, again, great set nades to start off the entirety of the Gavutu hardpoint coming through from Dizzy's Rascals. But all off the back end of that, the contested time over by P2 was just as good. But you cannot allow this AIM Esports roster to break P3 as emphatically as they did for 30 seconds still remaining on P3, and then the same thing happens over by P4 where they put them in the same spawn trap that we just saw to close out the game. It's just a reoccurring disaster for Dizzy's Rascals that you simply are going to lose sleep over. I am sure of it. You can even see right here in the replays as well. They had themselves about a 30-point lead going inside of P2. Trades were good, but then AIM Esports, something had snapped in the form of Eric Boom and Yakko. This SMG duo, I don't think that we've seen them look this comfortable on a Gavutu hardpoint all year long, Brody. They were running amok through the backline of Dizzy's Rascals, and that set up continuous amounts of success for what is now the AR duo. Yeah, Journey didn't have the sexiest KD ratio by the end of this map number 1, but it was still emphatic pressure that was coming through these longer lines of sight that we know Gavutu for, and by locking those down, it set up Yakko and Eric Boom, who were picking up SMGs, picking up an AR from time to time, was Eric Boom, for continuous success. 24 and 20 for Eric. Yakko drops 23 and 19, 2,500 damage plus for both of them. And you really just feel like a lot of those breaks were all off on the back end of Eric Boom or Yakko being able to find a 2-piece, find those trades, and to be able to open up the floodgates for AIM Esports to get those closer spawns and set themselves up on the hardpoint.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of funny, right? Because this is what we were discussing last season with AIM Esports, of course, formerly known then as Mavericks. It was effectively the same roster, of course, now obviously not so much the case since Sukri has been replaced by Journey on this team. But, you know, back there in that season, of course, if it wasn't Yakko and Eric Boom, it was Eric Boom and Vickle, of course, when that change went down. But nonetheless, I think that the sub-pressure was something that was just so successful for this AIM Esports lineup. And yeah, you're absolutely right to point out here, of course, 23 and 19 is what Yakko's going to finish with, 24 and 20 as well. Very few of those kills actually traded for both of those players. It is just an annoyance to have to face if you're Dizzy's Rascals. I want to give it a shout out to Henry, by the way, as well, because coming into this match, we will say for Dizzy's Rascals, he was, I think, the top performing player on the roster for Hardpoint, continuing to do it there in Gavutu. Kind of, I guess, what we'd expect for a player in his role, but nonetheless did play well in map number 1. Despite that though, Andy, we have a victory here for map number 1, AIM Esports 250 to 157. That sets up the series pretty well for the Spanish here moving forward. Of course, the next map in the series will be Berlin, Search and Destroy. And well, for Dizzy's Rascals, this is not a map mode combination that's gone well this season thus far.
No, it really has not. I mean, for Dizzy's Rascals, they are 1 and 2 overall on the map mode combination. Quite the opposite for AIM Esports. They are 2 and 1 on the Berlin Search and Destroy. Destroy, and it's going to be one of those things that we will continuously talk about just in recency as a whole. For this Dizzy's Rascals, they did just lose to the Invincible 6-2 on this map mode combinations. I mean, to say that you need immediate turnaround for a team that just beat unarguably what we would still say is the #1 seed coming into Season 3 of beating Team War on a Tusken Search and Destroy in around 11 is quite emphatic, I would say, because again, when you're thinking about this AIM Esports roster, they have been having their way when it comes down to these objective game modes. They're still undefeated in Control, and although Search and Destroy is one of their weaker game modes, now sitting up at 3 and 4 overall here in Season 3 of the Elite, you had to somehow deal with not only the SMG presence that was running an absolute muck. Yeah, you're going to at least get the, I guess, the saving grace when AIM Esports is on offense, that Yako has to play with the OBJ, if not Journey. The SMG presence, though, coming through from Eric Boom to be able to force out those first bloods would absolutely be there, sure. But you gotta talk about the kid. Super has been lights out. The #1 statistical player here in Challengers Elite Season 3 so far has a 1.33 KD in the search, has a 75% winning open engagement success rate, and 89% of their eliminations found in Search and Destroy, being only at 2 and 4 at the time of the stat being tracked. He has 89% non-traded kills, Birdie. That's absurd for the role that he plays.
Yeah, I think it's kind of funny in a way, right? Because we were having this discussion again in the break because we knew what match we were going to be casting. We've known for quite some time between AIM and Dizzy's Rascals, and it's kind of funny in a way because Super has always been this player that's been so understated. We see it in the stats, and we see it, of course, in the performances, right? We know that Super is one of these top performing players. We know that is definitely true for Search and Destroy, but because of the fact that AIM haven't been the most successful over the last couple of seasons, of course, formerly known as Suki's Bakery, I don't think that gets quite as much credit as you and I would maybe desire, right? Because, of course, we look at Super and his stats are phenomenal. Just the amount of times that he's managed to step up and play so well for this AIM Esports team, especially in Search and Destroy, I think it deserves quite a lot of credit. And it's something that we were discussing, right? It's just like if AIM were to maybe win this season, for example, and I think winning versus War puts them in quite good stead to say, hey, look, hey, maybe, despite what happened in the very first match of the season, AIM are definitely contenders for that. I think it gives Super quite a lot, I think, of a legitimacy around his performances, because I think so far he has been that understated player on this roster.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can even see, like, that Journey feels right at home with this team. Just kind of fits like a glove, isn't it? And it's one of those things that we've talked about not only here in Europe, but also in North America as well. A lot of these SMG players that we have known to find continuous amount of success, dating all the way back to Black Ops 4 for Journey, was finding continuous amount of success running that SOG and then sometimes switching to the Maddox. But now putting themselves in a position where they're running the Automaton more often than not has been a value addition to this team as a whole, to be able to play aggressive when it feels necessary. And we've seen that from Journey quite often when they were playing underneath the Rocker Academy banner. But now you put this along with a team that has just been dialing up the aggression levels to about 12, if not 13 at certain moments of time. This team is not afraid to get their hands dirty, and it continuously sets themselves up for success, where you almost kind of have to look at the main lane. You have to worry about these ARs that are holding these longer lines of sight, and that's where Eric Boom has been continuously finding so much success on working these pinches, finding value in it, getting these 2 pieces, getting these 3 pieces. This team is looking so comfortable with one another ever since the roster swap.
Yeah, indeed. We're moving to Berlin now, Search and Destroy, of course. And, we talk about kind of Super's importance to this team. We talk about Journey's importance to the team. Of course, Journey might well be playing the Automaton coming into this one. But what we do know is that Super will very likely be running the sniper rifle here for this team. He's going to be watching those crosses towards B. Maybe he can take some of those opening snipes across the mid-map. It will be huge. But right now, of course, it is going to be the latter here for Henry, who manages to snipe Journey right off the rip. Almost runs into a couple more players here from AIM Esports. And Eric, while he gets aggressive, make sure that Henry is no longer in the play. So BB Connor for now, the only one in the sight.
Yeah, but look at the flank coming through from Dizzy's Rascals. 2 players strong. You got Whalers and Dizzy's trying to blow this play open from behind. Now, Yako will be able to get this plant down, but they're so unaware of the flank.
And Dizzy comes in for Yako as well, so that's going to make the defense of the bomb site tough now for AIM, isn't it? 2 versus 3, they go. Super's in a position, I think Whalers might have just seen him, but the cover needs to be here from Eric Boom, of course, all the way back towards lobby. Super gets shut down. I think they've probably seen Eric in this position, so it's going to be tough. And actually, I believe they're probably still hunting for him. They don't know exactly where he is, but I think Dizzy's now just seen him. This is going to leave Eric in a bit of a tough position. Wins the first gunfight, but of course, Dizzy comes out for the bait and switch, and it's around here for Dizzy's Rascals. That's a really nice retake.
Yeah, it's so tough to be able to gauge. I mean, yes, Eric did have both a stun and a grenade, but I mean, not enough time to be able to reposition themselves in the backside of the lobby and maybe try to lob that grenade in there. Would have been overwhelmed with pressure, but it's all thanks to that first blood, right? You know, you commit Henry to the sniper rifle play. They're able to take down Journey, who was watching the cross all the way to the backs of the warehouse. That was that player that was going to be lingering behind for the offensive team to watch the mid scoop, just in case a flank play did start manifesting, which, hey, spoiler alert, if you missed that first round, that's exactly what ended up happening for Dizzy's Rascals. They were able to find themselves an avenue of rotation through the middle of the map, get into the train station itself, and they were able to blow that play open from the back. So now an offensive attempt here from Dizzy's Rascals. Stuns through inside of the B hut. Won't connect with anything. It'll take those doors clean off. But this is immediate information to AIM Esports defensively where the play might be coming through.
At least the doors are open now, so Dizzy's Rascals have an opening towards the site. Eric Boom will have just seen Dizzy cross, so that should be the signal for Journey to come up and do something about this play, but Henry is there for the cover. Everything is going pretty much as by the books as you can get here in the search and destroy round. The bomb will be down. Can Yakko do anything about this? He manages to get into the site completely uncontested, so the 3v3 now we go. But there are players towards Warehouse that I think AIM will be well aware of the fact they have to deal with. And of course, I don't think they're aware of the fact that they've got to deal with Henry as well, who in from behind, able to take down Eric Boom. But technically in control of the bomb site here are AIM and Super. He's going to jump on it. Doesn't have all the support in the world, though. That's a really tough position to be in.
It's really the only play, right? I mean, you really just got to go back to that first blood that came through on a Journey, who obviously all of the information, stuns, nades coming through inside the B hut, was trying to get themselves closer towards the window on the bottom side of the dock, play a little bit more of that maybe platform head glitch that is down there to maybe try to deal with the players. But the way that Dizzy's Rascals just off the rip put themselves inside a mail, that was the initial play, was be able to find that first blood, be able to get themselves inside the B hut, and then when you reach about the 25-second mark and nobody from AIM Esports was already flanking from behind to try to exploit the play that was the post-plan situation set up where Super is currently located at, it becomes so alarming for any defensive team to try to get through that retake.
Journey going to draw first blood this time around, so for AIM things will be a little bit easier, but it doesn't last that long, does it? As well as takes down Super, that's really a secret weapon down for the count, and BB Connor going to get a Journey as he gets overzealous. So this bomb plant now going to be much tougher here for AIM, but they know this is what they need to do to level out the playing field, as it were. And Yakko gets away, crucially. Does he get away this time around? Yes, he does. Two massive escapes here from Yakko, but he might just run right into the mid-map. BB Connor's expecting such a flank around, and now for Eric Boom. 1v3, the shots do go in towards Dizzy here, but it will not be long before he faces down these players. And he's going to pull off a route. Nobody on the bomb just yet. And he opens up the window. I think that Whaler's there ready for it. Whaler's going to take him down. Dizzy's already on the defuse. And it's once again another retake here for Dizzy's Rascals.
Yeah, 3 rounds in, all in the favor of Dizzy's Rascals. The retake comes all the way through by brute forcing their way through that B lane, right? And overwhelming the players that were on the backside of that fence line. Look, the glint from the sniper rifle, it is bright as all get out. They were able to at least snuff out from Super and then isolating the plays through the middle of the map continuously. Look, taking down one flanker for the first blood, that's everything. And then the second one comes through on the backside of the upper courtyard staircase. You, more or less by proxy, with that bomb being planted over at B, could probably guarantee that there was going to be one player closer towards the B hut and one player in the backs of the warehouse. But being both back there, Dizzy's Rascals from the numbers, which they do play quite wonderfully, keep in mind you, were able to make that retake happen. As BB Connor will watch that cross, probably saw at least one player come through, but Super will still find first blood. Numbers advantaged in favor of the defense.
AIM Esports, as you say, with the advantage here in this round, but they've been in this position before. They don't want to get overconfident. They just got to make sure, I think, this time around, really, that they do not let Dizzy's Rascals get this bomb down, because that's been what failed them in the previous rounds. Dizzy's Rascals is going to be holding back. And they might actually be considering rotation here, Andy. BB Connor, though, puts some bullets in towards Yakko, and that's going to scare off AIM for the moment.
Oh, Eric Boom. I don't know if BB Connor ended up seeing him as well. We'll kind of just eat a nade through the upper courtyard. Won't get any contacts on it as well. Eric Boom might find themselves a timing as well. Might have saw Dizzy's ankle just poke out there, which is why they're just L-triggered up watching that entire push come all the way through. 30 seconds remaining, 3v4. Looks like that the bomb now has to be committed over towards B with Dizzy trying to make the route.
Oh, and Super's just seen him. I don't think Dizzy's aware of the fact that Super is standing there. This is going to be tough, but Whaler's around the corner. He's able to pick up the first. Trying to get the numbers back in their favor, but it doesn't work. 15 seconds left on the clock here in the 2 versus 3. Journey's really starting to force the issue here. Manages to cat Dizzy with his pants down, and now just the 1v2 for BB Connor. He's on 5 in a row here in this position. I think you're just trying to keep your spree alive. The challenge surely going to come through from Yako, and yeah, BB Connor makes the right decision, just trying to outplay those last remaining players. Make sure you keep that streak alive moving forward.
Whalers not being able to get that first kill as cleanly as they were hoping to. Might have been able to have more than enough bullets. I mean, you should have more than enough bullets now. The Automaton has 30 bullets, for heaven's sakes, to be able to snap over towards the second one. But again, from that numbers advantage aside, Dizzy's Rascals kind of got pushed back on two different fronts. The initial push over towards B, first blood comes through. They try to rewrap over towards A. They find yet another kill on the rotation. And they just had to go for broke and try to freely wrap over towards the B bomb side where they had two players just waiting for AIM Esports. Finally putting themselves on the board here. Gonna have a respectable offensive setup. 3 players inside of Male. Super up top. Just seeing if anybody pushes through the top side of Fire. You do have Dizzy Rascals members kind of poking their heads inside of this position, though.
And first bloods both going the way here of Dizzy's Rascals. Super needs to have a super trade. They'll pick up the first. Oh, almost gets the second on the Whalers. That would have been a huge gunfight to take, but now it's Eric Boom left up in a 1 versus 3. He has pulled off many of these in his time. Of course, last year joining Call of Duty Challenges for the first time. Made quite the impact. Again, had quite the 1v3s. This one's going to be tougher, though, and just beams BB Connor. 40 seconds. This is still possible here in the 1v1. BB Connor's pushed in towards the site, though. He's checking every single corner. He does check Eric Boom. Oh my god, Eric looks his way, but BB Connor wins the fight.
Just as Eric Boom was making the decision just to leave the train station, maybe try to poke back through, he got caught in a weapon swap, wasn't even looking at the position, and the play was correct, right? You know, you just played down here on the landing of the stairs, and maybe you just try to catch BB Connor trying to chase through from a trade, if not trying to wrap all the way to the backside, expecting that Eric Boom was already going to be over by that B hut for the plant. Just was not the case. Timing was not there, as BB Connor is still alive through multiple rounds now, finds themselves kill number 6. And you know that that's being conveyed in Spanish from the AIM Esports roster, that they have to take down BB Connor here. It's probably close to Streaks, an alarming pace that if they do end up getting kill number 7 for that glide bomb, what a useful resource that would be.
I think that's why Dizzy's Rascals are taking this somewhat slower. Maybe they normally would. Of course, they can afford to send more pawns elsewhere. Journey going to take down Whalers, and I kind of like the over-aggression coming out here from AIM. Make sure that you make Dizzy's Rascals feel uncomfortable early on in the play, especially as now Journey takes down BB Connor. What a massive head to take. That's the Streaks out of the game. And now for Dizzy's Rascals, a 2 versus 4 as well. These players are worlds apart.
This player's trying to go. I mean, Journey's just playing in a 1-for-1 angle. Dizzy's going to be able to at least find one, but that's all the information Journey was needed to be able to collect for themselves to be able to find that kill. And you said it wonderfully, my friend. Being able to at least take down BB Connor, trying to get that trade on a Journey on the backside of the fence line was everything, but you really got to tip your hat to the play call coming through from AIM Esports to immediately push through that B lane. Again, it is a gut check and a heat check of a call at that for AIM Esports, knowing that BB Connor, an AR player, it was on 6 in a row, be able to get themselves that glide bomb, found themselves an avenue of opportunity to be able to get all the way through the B lane and blow up any sort of post-plant situation that could come through over by B, finding 2, and then the 3rd soon to follow. Now putting themselves up in the deficit of just 2 rounds. Again, another respectable offense coming all the way through here for AIM Esports. Just waiting to see if they can catch any Dizzy's Rascals members getting over-aggressive for that first blood.
Super. Somewhat been slowed down as the sniper player for AIM. Only 3 kills to his name. And Henry might well win out, but no, Super takes him down. Big call there for AIM. And of course, they followed up with another one as well. The bomb now down. Dizzy's Rascals in the 2 versus 3. Journey to make sure BB Connor does not initiate the flank. The last one as well is going to be Dizzy. Even if Journey falls in this situation, that is quite a lot of information that has now been gained. 30 seconds left here, Dizzy. You have to hit some serious pace here to win the 1v2. And that pace, I think, will be what befalls him there in that 1v1 versus Eric.
Yeah, Super with the Kar 98K. I mean, it's something that we've constantly been talking about. It's also very interesting because, I mean, Super goes up in the conversations back in Season 1 and 2 with Lucky on this map mode combination that was finding just tremendous amount of value with the Kar 98K on this map mode combination. Super, though, undeniable when it comes down to the multitude of weaponry that they can play with and find a lot of value with. Again, when they get in first blood engagements, they are winning them 75% of the time. That is one of those instances with the sniper rifle to boot. Would love to see maybe Journey try to maybe play their life a little bit more. They were going to find kill number 6 to be able to get themselves closer towards the streak, but they won a round regardless, kind of creeping on this deficit to just 1.
Dizzy gets a little bit of information there. Yakko has been found out, so 3v4 still. BB Connor already out of the round. The bomb will go down. That'll even the odds somewhat, but Henry waiting to strike. He will do so. There's the first kill, and he gets away crucially. That is time that AIM really didn't want to give away here in this position, and Henry has now spotted out all the players. The cavalry, it's on its way. The trade's going down, and now Dizzy in a 1 versus 2 once again, but this time he is on the other side of the bomb, and he is that needs to just defend it. They have very little idea where he is, and he gets Eric Boom and gets away once again. So now 20 seconds left here, and if you're super in the situation, you need to play as patient as you like. I think Dizzy has just outplayed him in from behind. It's Dizzy for a 1v2.
Fantastic first blood that came through from Henry in almost an untradeable position, just playing up on top of the stone railing there, leading up towards the upper courtyard from the concourse. And then you really just got to tip your hat to the namesake of the team, Dizzy, and his Rascals walk away with a very crucial round, because AIM Esports were really starting to build up a head of momentum there, putting themselves up on map point. But being able to get that first kill and then immediately resetting the fight with the regen, if you're looking at that from Super's perspective, right, I mean, they at least had a 50-50 chance to be able to almost expect Dizzy to go for the full-on wrap through the middle of the map. But, I mean, great call from Dizzy just to recontest from the same side door of Sneaky. And now map point here for Dizzy's Rascals. You got to mount to something here for AIM Esports. Full flooding here towards the AS&D.
How ready is Henry for this play? I think he's been spotted out by Yakko. And there you go. You can see it from Yakko's POV. There you go. Henry down found for the count. Can BB Connor do anything about this? It's the set nade that explodes him out of the round. Nicely done there for Eric Boom. And A now in the 4 versus 2. Dizzy's Rascals, they can attempt this retake, but it's going to be a long, long journey.
Speaking of journey, is watching this mid-map and completely missed the timing as both these players, so Dizzy's and Whalers ended up full wrapping all the way around. Journey will have none of it. Top third of Male is going to be able to lock away those last 2 kills. And it was a great, I guess denial of the situation at hand, right? Because you were able to find those 2 kills over by the A-bomb. Nobody was pushing through for the trade inside a lobby. Nobody was coming up through the statue staircase. So where those 2 players are at, immediately have to be on the flank. Journey wasn't watching that. They were just watching the middle of the map, confirming all the information I had just said. So they have to be on the full flank all the way inside of P4. And what a double kill to walk away with Journey as they find kill number 10 here on the Berlin search. And towards round number 10, Dizzy's Rascals up on the offense. Still map point, keep in mind you're going to be playing off to maybe see if Henry can cause enough ruckus, distress to call these players back over towards the A-bomb.
Look how aggressive here. AIM are getting Eric Boom with the first blood and crucially gets away. That's going to make them feel somewhat uncomfortable, but maybe not enough as Dizzy and Whalers come straight back in for the trades. And now for Super and Eric Boom, you don't have as maybe much as control as you thought you did initially. Especially considering I don't think they exactly know where Henry is in this position. All they have in their favor is the fact that the bomb, technically speaking, isn't down just yet. It now will be, though. And for Super and Eric, try and get some of these exit frags if you can. Maybe you can catch Whalers off guard, but they're not even going to get that rotation. Eric and Super in this situation simply have very little information to work off. They're just trying to work off basically, these guys are probably going to be behind towards Warehouse. That is exactly what they're going to clear, but I don't think they expect Whalers to sit up in the office. Whalers going to get taken down by Eric Boom. So that makes this situation easier, but still 20 seconds left. You need to reserve 7.5 of that for the defuse. And Dizzy now going to be the arbiter of the bomb site. You have to go if you're Super and Eric Boom. Going to check the corner. No, Eric, you can't be defending your teammate like that. He goes down as well. A betrayal in the final round as Dizzy's Rascals will win out.
They will end up winning out the Search and Destroy. If there was going to be one map mode combination that we knew that they had a surefire chance to be able to walk away with, it was going to be the Search and Destroy. Look, you could chalk it up losing the Invincibles earlier. They are probably unarguably one of the best top 3 Search and Destroy teams that we do have here in Europe at this moment of time. But even more so than that, Dizzy's Rascals played that Search and Destroy round beautifully. Again, you called it so wonderfully, is that although Eric Boom did find that first kill on the BB Connor inside of the mid-cut going inside of the train station itself, they had no idea that Henry was even back there. And they didn't even do anything all around, keep in mind you. They just full wrapped on the backside of Crane, that if they fully wrapped back through the middle of the map, Henry would have saw them. But even more so than that, with the 2 players that were left alive for AIM Esports were able to clear away the backside of the warehouse, but that team kill is going to be everything for the potential retake that was coming all the way through. Because immediately clearing away the backside of P4, clearing away the warehouse, fighting that one isolated player of Whalers up top, you knew that the last player inside of the bomb site, being Dizzy, planted the bomb. You could have gotten that trade, 2 players versus the 1. By proxy alone, you knew that you had that last player of Henry that was probably going to be either top fire, the middle of the map, or more or less just on the defensive side of the map. It's just unfortunate, again, that the team nade comes all the way through, and it sucks even more because we're just a few rounds ago singing the praise of Eric Boom and his set nades. Just takes his teammate out of their misery for that round as it ends 6-4.
Yeah, we were saying this, actually, was it in the last series? We're like, yeah, these teams are getting really good with their nades, by the way. Like, they know exactly what they're doing now here in Vanguard. I think more comfortable with nades than we've seen maybe in past years, perhaps, as well. And Eric's just like, yeah, sometimes we're good with nades, maybe other times not so good, and maybe that's one of those situations there. Eric's just like, yeah, you know, I want this S&D to be over. It's one of those situations that you kind of have to laugh it off, right? It's like, you know, it happened. It is what it is. Yes, it was an important moment, but, you know, just chalk it up. The S&D is gone now. You're 1-1 in the series. You're going into the control. We'll talk about that in just a second. I mean, it is just unfortunate. It is what it is. But as we're saying, 1-1 in the series now, Andy, between these two teams. Let's talk about the importance of the control, though, because it's one of the headlining factors. You might have seen it earlier on when we brought the profile up for AIM. These guys are very good at control. They're reprising their role as the #1 control team from Season 1, I believe it was, where they had that stat line. Currently, they haven't lost one, and that does not bode well here for Dizzy's Rascals. Look, I mean, the S&D, that was an important victory, so we'll see how the rest of the series goes, I suppose. Before we get into towards that control, though, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back here, it's going to be the control up next.
Only if open, everyone's chosen beauty of choice. You can stay silent, forget your voice. You can malign them, hold a grudge, or stand before judge, just stay in your case. Top of the notion that you were just a mere drop in the ocean. This is your moment, fear is a Trojan horse. When you open or close your doors. Just when you feel like it's too much. Just when you feel like you've had enough. Take a step back from the edge. And take a deep breath. Dance like you'll never. Dance like you'll never. Dance like you'll never. Ever gonna live again. Sometimes you don't like where you live. Sometimes you don't really like your kids. Sometimes you grow out of your friends. Sometimes it's your fault, just admit it. Finger point in the mirror. 3-point back, that's the tearjerker. You can wallow in sorrows, depressed of the past, afraid of the unknown tomorrow. Or you can just live in the now. We all trying to figure it out. The rhythm inside of your chest that's keeping you moving, that's the solution. The ball on the floor is hard to ignore. Endorphin rush will flush your brains while you dance your pain away. Just when you feel like it's too much. Just when you feel like you've had enough. Take a step back from the edge. And take a deep breath. And dance like you'll never. Dance like you'll never. Dance like you'll never. Ever gonna live again.
Welcome back, everybody, here to Call of Duty Challengers, of course. We're 2 maps deep into the matchup between AIM Esports and Dizzy's Rascals here in European Challengers Elite, of course, this being week number 2. The final set of matches for today before we talk about tomorrow, which is where all those wonderful permutations do come into effect. Might not be something that Dizzy's Rascals have to worry about, though, after this matchup, of course. They're currently 1-4, Andy. They need to win this series to keep themselves in the conversation. And up against AIM, it's going to be a tough one. But hey, look, there is a silver lining in this particular cloud. They did just win a Search and Destroy. They
did win a Search and Destroy. To go back to that previous point as well, Brody, that to be able to win here, sure, it might mean something, but that would only put AIM Esports at 4-2. And if that's your only head-to-head versus a top 4 team, it's not going to look very good when it comes down to those permutations going forward. Because, again, then Destiny is out of your hands, that maybe Invincibles or Rocker Academy will have a worse overall series record versus Dizzy's Rascals that would essentially have to win out going forward, which we'll talk more about later, because this Kabuto control is another beast within its own self. Not only just the map, but the mode itself, given the one fact that still remains is that this AIM Esports roster have yet to lose the control all season long.
Yeah, and that's the sticker point, isn't it, really, for this team? I mean, look, it's going to be tough, I think, for Dizzy's Rascals here in this matchup. Amy Sports are just so good at control, and I think for much of the same reasons that they were so good at control in Season 1, right? It's just they've got some incredible sub-pressure that's only been assisted by the fact that Journey now can run the auto and the MP40 when the situation does require him of it. And, of course, he is pretty good in that auto role as well. And when it comes down to Gavutu control, which seems to be a map mode combination they are very good at, I believe they're currently 4-0 in this map mode combination. It's like, well, I mean, you've got Super and you've got Journey running those autos. What can you do if you're the opposition? Because those are two auto players at the moment which are on fire.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. Again, you highlight Super. Control, out of their overall 1.68 KD for the season so far, Control is where the abundance comes from their overall KD. 1.91 KD for Super, 70.1% true engagement success rate. That means 70% of the time that Super's getting an engagement, they're walking away with an elimination or an assist. And about 83% of their full eliminations from Control all season long are non-traded kills. It's just the absurd amount of numbers that Super continues to put up from a team that would, even you go back to Season 1 for Sukari's Bakery, obviously finishing top 4, not where they wanted to be. Season 2, finishing outside the top 4, for sure not where they wanted to be at, is still putting up these consistent numbers. It just comes down to the team to be able to collect off of all of the pressure that this AR is laying down. So now you look towards a player like Eric Boom, who has been playing the best Vanguard we have seen Eric play all year long, is sitting at a 1.34 KD for Control as a whole. 63%, true engagement success rate. It is also sitting at 81% non-traded kill percentage. It's one of those things that with Eric Boom popping off in the way that they have been, it's not just their upfront gunfights that they have to be worried about. Eric Boom is exploiting so many different damn timings and flanks that he is just constantly berating the team's sides like a thorn or a needle, whatever the analogy you decide to use, and it's just causing so much distress for any team that they're going up against on Control.
And that ultimately is kind of what befell Dizzy's Rascals in map number 1, right? We talk about kind of the rotations that we saw in Gavutu Hardpoint, where we talk about P3, for example, the amount of times on both times, basically, you had players like Eric Boom and Journey getting in behind and just being an annoyance. And even, I think historically speaking, because again, you and I have been fortunate enough to cast this roster throughout its various variations, whether it be Sukari's Bakery in Season 1 and Season 2 of this season, or Mavericks, whatever kind of variant of that team we saw in the Black Ops Cold War season. These guys, just one of their characteristics has just been that annoying roster. I mean, like, I know it sounds really silly because Apocalypse Hardpoint last year was like one of the fastest map mode combinations we've had in Call of Duty history, but like the amount of times that Mavericks was so good at that map just because of the fact they were just constantly getting in behind, constantly flanking, and constantly being really damn annoying. It just like, it's something that I don't think teams were ever really able to adapt to, and that's why Mavericks was so good last season. And I think you can say the same about even a map like Gavutu, which is significantly bigger and significantly more open. They've been able to translate that characteristic over to this map, whether it be Hardpoint and whether it be Control. And, well, I think that's going to help them out here as they go up against Dizzy's Rascals. We're jumping into map number 3, of course. The SMD did go Dizzy's Rascals' way. Can they pull off the first victory against Amy Sports for any team in Control in Season 3 of Challengers Elite? That is the question that currently stands before us. Well, so far, things are going pretty rosy here on the defense for Dizzy's Rascals. They've won every single engagement.
Yeah, every single engagement until Eric Boom snaps back, finds 2. Dizzy's Rascals are 1 and 2 overall on the Gavutu Control, but being able to find those trades, being able to find those favorite kill feeds, you're buying so much time and space before the offense can actually get on towards the safe zone. You can even see here with Journey is having to flush out wherever Whalers ended up coming to. Finally does get chased down by Eric Boom. 3 for 2 goes the kill feed. BB Connor still up top. Super more than aware of this. Needs to be able to find this kill before they can finally find themselves any sort of comfort to get on the safe zone.
Pretty much every single kill at the moment is going Dizzy's Rascals' way, and this is more often than not kind of what happens over here in Gavutu Control. You can find yourselves very often stuck in a rut, can't you, as you force yourselves to spawn over towards that rock face side. But this time around, there is a couple of players that managed to make their way through from AIM. A wave of gunfights coming through in the Spanish's favor here as they now manage to make their way over towards the point. Dizzy's Rascals now, they're being pushed all the way back towards jungle, all the way back towards green. They've got a couple of crucial engagements to win, and the start of this would probably be to take Super out from this position up here, because this is a pivotal role for him to play Overwatch over towards that A zone. And I think for Dizzy's Rascals here, the way they look like they're playing on the minimap right now, this is one of those cases We've lost A. Let's just call that one, chalk it off, whatever you want to say. Let's make sure we get control of the anti-air gun.
Yeah, exactly, because they don't want to lose more lives going forward, right? Because although it was a blistering start for Dizzy's Rascals, they completely got nullified by AIM Esports finding these trades across the middle of the map. Now 16v15, AIM Esports finally have themselves a lives remaining advantage, 16v15, but they have a minute 15 to try to make this push happen. But again, you got to look towards the flank. You already have Super back. You're on a 3 spree. They're already on the backside of this radio tower. Would have been awesome for them to keep their life, if not find a couple more kills in towards the back. Whalers, as smart as they come, as experienced as they are able to fully read that and not completely reset the map with under a minute left.
Henry gonna win the first defensive battle here versus Yakko. Super will fall as well. The good news, I suppose, for AIM in this position is they have taken a couple of players away from that anti-air gun, so a little bit of pressure has been alleviated, at least from that point of view, but it will not be long before they start to put that pressure back on. It's BB Connor who snaps on towards Journey and eliminates him from the game momentarily there. 12v8 in terms of lives here. The opportunities for AIM very quickly running out here in this situation as BB Connor really starts to force the issue now. You can see in the kill feed as well, Whalers able to pick up 2. I think this one is starting to fall away for AIM, especially as BB Connor continues to advance up the beach.
He's on a 4 spree as well. Could potentially play for some streaks, but they're being overwhelmed. 16 HP. The kill should be here, and it will be. Eric Boom slides in with the pistol, but yeah, the round is more than over at this point. You can see just all of AIM Esports just chilling in the back as Dizzy finds themselves yet another 3 spree. No respawns remaining. Whalers has the pinch on the opposite side, and that's pretty much been the recipe through the entirety of this defensive side for Dizzy's Rascals, isn't it? Ever since winning the opening engagements, getting top LST control, winning that one isolated engagement over by top ring, they immediately just cycle players out to either play over by the cliff path, put themselves in position over by the P4 beachfront, and it is just berating all of AIM Esports that they have to clear away their spawn first and foremost before they even have a thought to get past the 25-yard line. Without being able to battle, if not find those clean kills in their own spawn, Dizzy's Rascals did a fantastic job of making sure that AIM Esports never had numbers to be able to fully flush through the middle of the map and really made them work hard for that A zone first and foremost.
Well, Dizzy's Rascals now looking to assault towards A. AIM Esports, they're here though. Eric Boom and Journey going to combine for 2 right off the rip. Eric looking for 3 and he will get it. And this is not the start, but I think Dizzy's Rascals would have desired, you know, we always talk about the split of do you go towards A, do you go towards B. Dizzy's Rascals, they wanted the classic strategy of straight towards A, and they lose pretty much every single engagement. And it doesn't look like it's ending anytime soon. Eric Boom now able to put 4 kills back to back here, getting right up in the faces of Dizzy's Rascals as they finally earned their first frag, but there's already 45 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah, already 45 seconds indeed. It is an 8-for-2 trade since this round has commenced, and where Dizzy's Rascals were doing so well, AIM Esports do just a little bit better, cycling players out into positions to find themselves a couple spawn kills. Journey's got a submachine gun and an automaton over by the cliff path, finds themselves on a 4 spree, picking up immediately where Eric had left off. And again, this is just so alarming going forward. Now 20 seconds remaining for Dizzy's Rascals. They have to battle off from their spawn before they even have a thought to get on one of these zones to stall at the clock.
15 seconds remaining here in this round. Can anybody get out? This has been a brutal round. I feel like I'm watching the Mountain versus the Viper at the moment. As Journey now is on this rock face. That's 5 in a row to cap off the round. There ain't nobody from Dizzy's Rascals. They're getting out of the hell of that spawn trap. As that is an indomitable round for AIM. Dizzy's Rascals got like 4 kills, I want to say there, in that one. Pretty impressive, I think, for AIM. On the defense, and I think more crucially here as we talk about the sort of the tick count, as it were, for a potential round number 5, they didn't lose any tick progression whatsoever.
Yeah, we talk about overall tick progression. That's what's going to settle out the round 5 defensive fare. Typically, a lot of win conditions have been set for challengers teams all the way up to the CDL. It is just try to get more tick progression over the enemy. If you can win an offensive round, obviously that's great, but if you have the more tick progression going in for that round 5, that should guarantee that round 5 defensive side. With all that being said, AIM Esports, they're more than aware of their advantage. They send 3 players to the beach, and they overwhelm Whalers, the island player over by the B zone itself. And they also have Yakko through the middle of the map trying to zone away these players to try to mount this push over towards the B zone early.
Yeah, this is what you want to see if you're AIM Esports, right? Straight towards B they went. As, well, players now starting to capture the zone. If they had the pressure towards the backline, this is a damaging situation for Dizzy's Rascals, and there you go. They still do have those players. Super now on a 5 spree, looking to put together some streaks. And Dizzy's Rascals, they've got to really start thinking about how they want to approach this. If you can take it from the jungle side, that's all well and good, but look at how quickly this tick progression is going in favor of AIM Esports here in this situation. Fortunately, BB Connor is able to fly on out and take down Super, and of course, they do befall Journey as well. So just 2 ticks of progression lost, but that is a really good start from AIM. And I was going to say they're still technically not done, because Eric Boom is still on the point, but he does get shut down.
Got 2 ticks of progress over by B, and you would assume that all off of this pressure that they should be able to get middle of the map coverage again to maybe get over towards A, but Dizzy's putting on a little bit of a trailer showcase. Top LSC gets the ladder kill with the pistol, gets one up top with the sub, swaps the automaton, is able to find one over by the cliff path just as easily as you would assume AIM Esports were going to be able to recollect to the middle of the map. Dizzy's Rascals are able to find the trades required. Now 25 seconds remaining, lives knotted up, 18 apiece. They still have to worry about Dizzy, who's top LSC, playing these angles, and AIM Esports are catching themselves in a little bit of a frustrated play as they're still trying to get this last tick over by B.
Yeah, and those couple of kills coming through make that 3 will certainly make it a lot easier, wouldn't it? Of course, Dizzy has stopped short with Spree once again. B looks like it might have fallen here in this situation. Journey, he's going to put the dagger in, and now 1 minute 10 left on the clock. A is the only point left here that AIM need to go and grab. Look, we've seen teams miss out here in this position. Journey trying to make his way through, he will get shut down. So it's not like Dizzy's Rascals have immediately lost this. This is just going to be tough now to defend.
Probably already know, due to Dizzy's Rascals, that it's going to be a handful of offensive rounds. It would have been nice to be able to get the full stop. But yeah, defending the A zone fully outright for the next 40 seconds with only 11 lives remaining is so tough to be able to do, especially when you got Yako on the backside of Cage, finessing for their life, is going to play for the regen, especially knowing that the rest of their teammates for AIM Esports just got wiped off the map, so they're going to be coming from the way from the respawn, and you can even see it suggested. The red arrows on the mini-map are trying to fish out Yako's position. They're able to find them, and they're cutting down players from AIM Esports trying to work their way through the middle.
Journey's actually managed to slip the net here, so he really is the playmaker, I think, for AIM in this position, as now he goes all the way through Rockside, but no! It's another Eric Boom situation this time around. It's a flash that's going to take down Journey. So now, 5v7 in the position. Yako up top here, able to pick up one more kill. There's still a few more frags to get, and Yako wants a slice of the pie. He gets taken down. Now it's down to 3 players for AIM here in this round. Eric Boom will fall as well. Can anybody from AIM touch the point? No, they can't. Journey will fall. And, well, it's going to be Dizzy's Rascals here on the fence here. They managed to kind of weather the storm that was AIM Esports pushing them from that rock face side. I would say that's a massive clutch, but nonetheless, they're still down by, what, 6 ticks now?
Yeah, it's a total of 6v0 as it currently stands for AIM Esports, able to at least fully capture the B zone in that previous round, and then their last offense before that fully captured the A zone. So Dizzy's Rascals, I mean, they're one saving grace. If they do not want to see back-to-back offenses, they just have to win it here. Just win an offense on Gavutu forehead, and it's just as easy as that for Dizzy's Rascals to not only be able to go up 2-1 in the series, but to be able to take away AIM Esports' undefeated record on Control, and also not have to play another offensive round on Gavutu as well. Journey inside the LSC to start things off. Finds 2, looking for kill number 3 in a row. But you know this offensive push immediately gets stuffed from AIM Esports' positioning.
Oh, goodness me. That is not the start that you wanted if you're Dizzy's Rascals. It's almost, I say almost reminiscent of what we saw in, was it round number 2, where AIM Esports were on the defense once again. Things not looking great here, especially as Super now starting to force the issue once again. Back over towards the rock side he go. 3 in a row now for a Super. Looking for 4, looking for 5. It's going to be Wailers to shut him down short of any streaks, but the bottom line here is somebody from Dizzy's Rascals needs to slip the net. That player might be Henry, who's able to get Eric Boom, but if I'm Henry in that situation, I think I'm just going to run through and try to play sneaky, just like Dizzy is doing right now. Nobody from AIM Esports has cut him down just yet. He's able to get one more kill. How much more damage can Dizzy do here in this situation? Because they're still hunting, by the way. They have no idea where Dizzy has gone. He is Harry Houdini Dizzy, invisible as you like. He will finally get cut down, but 20 seconds left on the clock now. Henry needs to go huge.
He needs to go big inside the B zone, but also what is kind of manifesting here is a little bit of a bait play coming through over by B. They would have loved to be able to collect off of Dizzy's damage and pressure that was able to be found over by the B zone, but they quickly don't get over towards the A zone. That was the big switch that was going to come all the way through from those antics that was coming through from the Rascals of Dizzy's. Yako now doing what Journey did at the beginning of the round, but this time up top, LSC finds themselves on 3 in a row. 5 seconds remaining, 20v9. This is a good luck, have fun situation if I've ever seen one for Dizzy's Rascals. They will have to get another offensive round going forward on Gavutu Control. And if you can tell by the canter of my voice, it is not looking too good for Dizzy's Rascals. They have been unable to collect a single tick of progress throughout the entirety of all their offensive attempts. If they found one, it gone completely unnoticed by me. But AIM Esports are just making them look absolutely crazily silly with how they are playing out their defensive rounds. Just playing their corners and just being able to catch players by surprise. That first kill and then the second soon to follow. These double kills that are coming through continuously from Journey, Eric Boom, and Yako are so influential for this for the amount of success that AIM Esports have found on this map mode.
Here's a play deep from the playbook right now from Dizzy's Rascals. The Hail Mary, straight towards B they go. These things are risky to make happen, but if it works, you'll find yourself in the good. And, well, will it work? That's the question. Yako, Super, Eric Boom, everybody winning their ones. It's just now one player left up towards B. That is going to be Whalers. Might well distract Eric Boom over here. So this 1v1 will be an elongated one as Whalers looks to continue to outsmart Eric. Will he get to, though? That's the question. As, well, finally Whalers going to come down. He's going to fall. Yako's going to come down and help out Eric Boom in that situation. But for Dizzy's Rascals here in the situation, I'm sure you're about to analyze it this way. That was probably just a bait play.
I mean, originally it was just try to go for broke over by B, but again, it's Yako playing the corner just outside of the seawall, top anti-air gun, and then immediately finds the first, and then the collapse soon to follow, but then you immediately have to turn it into a bait play. Yeah, all the pressure over by B needs to be flipped over towards A. They are at least mounting some tick progression, but you only have Henry that is down here at the moment of time, and you still got to worry about Super. He's up top, takes down Dizzy. That'll be the immediate call for Eric Boom to come through the middle of the map, and the nade plus the SMG from Yako is just too good. They wipe the floor with Dizzy's Rascals again as they have a 4-life lead with just 27 seconds remaining, and AIM Esports will take yet another control.
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? Eric Boom and Journey going to combine for 2 here. Can anybody from Dizzy's Rascals escape the spawn trap? This is what's kind of been a problem for them the last 2 offensive rounds. They might be able to get over towards that beach side, but with 10 seconds left, it's not really a tenable path, is it, at this point in time? Henry's able to get 2. Is there a chance to run and stop the point? I think somebody will be able to touch. 2.8 seconds down the clock here. This needs to be perfect coming in from Dizzy's Rascals. You can't lose a single life in this effort. Henry will fall. Now 1 second left. Nobody can slide on through. AIM clear them out for the last time as they take a round number 5 here in Gavutu control.
Yeah, again, winning the war of attrition, being able to get those 3 ticks of progress on A in their first offense, getting the 3 ticks of progress on B in their second offense. It's just one of those things, again, when you're looking at the grander scheme of things, that is a win condition if I've ever seen one coming through from AIM Esports continuously, and it's the reason why they are the #1 control team continuously through all the maps that they have played throughout the entirety of Control. The one time on Berlin, they completely shut out Soleo Signs, and they do the same thing versus Mistaken, but it's the same thing that they did versus Ultra Academy EU. It's just winning the war of attrition, making sure that they have the better tick progression going forward and can put themselves in a position to get round 5 defense. But even more so than that, what was so potent going forward for AIM Esports, which is how they were denying Dizzy's Rascals push attempt after another push attempt. It started off at the beginning there in round number 5. Again, Yako playing the corner as it has been Journey on the previous defense inside LST, just calling the plays and reading the bluffs that are coming through from Dizzy's Rascals, turning the initial gunfights into 2 pieces for at least 1 player. From there on out, they just did a fantastic job at just cycling players out over by the cliff path, over by the beachfront, and even as you were calling there at the end as well, Brody, that at least Henry was able to find 2. We found ourselves continuously at least showcasing that, yes, they were able to find multi-kills, but that was when they were still inside their spawn. The problem still amounts that they still could not get top ring control, could not get inside of LST reliably from all the different crossfires that were being set up by AIM Esports off their defensive respawn.
It's just tough. AIM just looked really good on the defense there, and sometimes that's ultimately kind of how Control goes. I know it sounds really simplistic, isn't it? Because, you know, we talk all the time about, you know, defense is just so much stronger on a Control here. I mean, it was the case in Black Ops Cold War. It's the case once again here in Call of Duty Vanguard. And, yeah, AIM just looked really good on the defense and managed to shut Dizzy's Rascals out in round number 5. We can see on the stats there, Eric Boom, of course, we were discussing how annoying he can be going into that Control. 30 kills. He's the top fragger there for AIM Esports in that game. Of course, the rest of the squad also having a good go at things. Journey 28 and 21, Yako 24 and 23, and Super also 23 and 20. So everybody playing their part there. I do want to shout out Connor, though, to be fair, for the Dizzy's Rascals side. 27 and 22. Guy did have a good game. It's just kind of unfortunate that he couldn't get anything going on those offensive rounds. So everything going near enough how we expected it to go. AIM Esports now going to win yet another control. They remain flawless off the back of that map and are now 2-1 up in the series here, Andy. I mean, look, we're moving forward now to the Bocage hardpoint. That is what's up next in this best of 5. I mean, map number 1, it was relatively close at the beginning, right? I think this is the key thing coming into this one. Maybe if Dizzy's Rascals can have a bit more of a consistent go at things here in this hardpoint, they'll have a better chance.
The only issue with all this talk about just Bocage hardpoint as whole is that now you're going to be dealing with AIM Esports through a good chunk of this map. On triple SMG, Journey is going to pick up that ever-so-wanted MP40 to be able to find a continuous amount of pressure with Yako and Eric Boom going forward. Double ARs when it comes down to certain hardpoints like 5 and 2. But even more so than that as well, this kind of goes back to the same conversation that I was having with Dizzy's Rascals on the Berlin Search and Destroy. Another map mode combination for this Bocage hardpoint that they just lost to the Invincibles in their first match of the day here for round robin day number 3. And it's going to have to be an immediate turnaround, right? Because the 2 wins that they do have is a 100-point club versus Ultra Academy EU. They won by a split-second rotation in a last-moment gunfight versus Soleo Signs on this map mode combination, and their 3-0 win versus the Frenchman. And this is where you have to feel comfortable. This is where Dizzy has to have an explosive match along with their other SMGs on the team, because if it is not showcased here, yeah, obviously it's going to be chalk, not only for the series, but for the entire season. You need to force out this Bocage Search and Destroy.
Yeah, and I think that's what this ultimately comes down to, right? You know, we've discussed it, we've teed it up time and time again. Dizzy's Rascals coming into this best of 5. They are 1-4 in the overall standings. When you get to that 1-5 position, it is, I think, pretty much impossible. Obviously, we're not admins. We're not going to make the mistake of calling a team out when they might not be. But nonetheless, I think going 2-5 is going 1-5, going 2-5, basically a death sentence, I think, in terms of wanting to make it out of the round robin stage. So they need this Bocage hardpoint. And to be honest, you know, going back to the Berlin Search and Destroy, what we saw in map number 2, you know, the silver lining here for this cloud is that if Dizzy Rascals are able to take away this Bocage hardpoint in the best of 5s, that map number 5, I think, is actually quite a positive outlook, even if you are kind of facing down Yako, Eric Boom, and Journey on that try MP40 setup. And that's the scary thing, not just for that Search and Destroy, but for this hardpoint as well. Yeah,
I mean, it's the pace. It's the biggest differential. And you're right to highlight the one thing for our preamble of this Bocage hardpoint, going back to the Gavutsu, is that the opening rip was very good for Dizzy's Rascals, all of a couple of set nades, and Dizzy being able to push through the enemy side of concrete stairs. But the pace needs to be a consistency, a continuance, if you will, Brody, here for Dizzy's Rascals, that they cannot continue to be overwhelmed by AIM Esports throughout the entirety of this Bocage hardpoint, something that we know that they love and absolutely flourish in.
All right, well, let's see how AIM get on here. Can Dizzy's Rascals have a better go at things than they did in map number 1? Well, to start, trades galore as Whalers and BB Connor able to take a couple of players out towards that riverbed side. But you can already see kind of AIM here bartering for control of back tin. They know how important the rotation towards that next hardpoint will be to make sure you flip the spawns as quickly as humanly possible. But in the process, you sometimes do kind of forget to get control of P1, as it were, to get that time off the back of the hardpoint. This time around, AIM, they've not forgotten to do that. They are going to be the ones to touch the hill here for the majority of time. And for Dizzy's Rascals, at the very least here, as a wave of kills do come through with 15 seconds left, they have held strong on this defensive hold of the spawns.
It is easy to forget about, obviously, getting a player inside P1, because when you are starting off on the unfavored side, which AIM did, you want to be able to not only win the opening gunfights, which they do, but you also want to try to flip that into immediate barn control, and then you have to hit through and try to flip out these 10 spawns. And BB Connor has been back here like a turret, just setting things up continuously for their team ahead of the P2 rotation. Only allowed 20 seconds there on P1, but as it currently stands, numbers are dwindling in towards the back as Super's up top and is beaming like that. Almost gave a good luck to be able to find kill number 7 in a row for just their second life. But Whalers will shut down any sort of streak antics coming through. With Dizzy's Rascals spawning all the way out, they have to re-break P2 from the front.
I don't know what to say anymore sometimes watching Super play, but nonetheless, Dizzy's Rascals going to deal with the problem, at least momentarily here, as there's still 25 seconds left to soak up on this hard point. They know it, that's why they've got players inside looking to get that time. They will also start thinking about the rotation sooner rather than later. They did have BB Connor pushed up towards that tank side, but he's now being very cautious. I think he has that spider senses tingling, recognizing that someone is coming to deal with him. 5 in a row for BB Connor, though. He does get shut down, but if Connor can't get the rotation, well, Whalers is going to do it. here. He's going to go all the way in the back line here. I don't think AIM have a clue that is where he is going to be. And as the rest of the team will now hit the front, Whalers, it's time to activate the flank, my friend. Can you get this one done? The 1 kill versus Journey has been made. There's still a couple more players towards the back line, but the rest of the teammates have won the ones inside the hard point as well. Dizzy's Rascals here. They've got in control of the hill.
And Super actually gets a squad spawn on a Journey and towards the back. I mean, Whalers really thought that he was going to be blocking out the entirety of the spawns, and he was half right, coming all the way through, but Journey does still spawn in. But what a wonderful break comes through for Dizzy's Rascals. A coordinated and disciplined push came through from the front, then immediately activated one in towards the back to be able to coordinate that pinch for the break inside of 3. But just as soon as you think that you get at least some sort of value, some semblance of control here on Grandma's, AIM Esports immediately fly through the middle of the map. They recontest this hard point here on 3, and they're able to get themselves back inside of the hard point for the scrap of scrap time. And you can see what that means for Dizzy's Rascals going forward. They're trying to set themselves up in the middle of the map, and they're conceding the space going inside a barn, and that means that Journey's going to find a free avenue to flank around the back.
Dizzy picking up 2 huge rotational battles there. There's still a couple more players to contest with, and they're just trying to influence the spawns at the moment. Journey now looking to disrupt this rotation as quickly as humanly possible. That's 2 in a row. Journey looking for number 3. Whalers will gift it to him wrapped in a cardboard box. As now AIM going to break this rotation very early on here. The fortunate thing is for Dizzy's Rascals, rarely do teams ever manage to hold a lot of time off the back of this barn hill. It is always hotly contested, as we're about to find out, because Dizzy's Rascals, just as quickly as they get broken out of it, they're right back in.
Yeah, I mean, this hard point is so difficult to hold. You really need your SMGs to find continuous 3 pieces, 4 pieces, while your AR locks down that P2 lane and maybe have some good graces of at least catching players rotating in through the middle of the map. So much easier said than done, as a hard point will flip yet again, and that'll be AIM Esports finding the back 10 seconds. Now, Dizzy's Rascals might be looking to try to hit this one more time, and they'd be right to do so. This is good contested time when you're thinking of the grander scheme of things, given where Dizzy's Rascals are spawning on the map. They're spawning still over on the backside of Grandma's. That's going to be the immediate call for BB Connor to put themselves over by the willow tree. You also have Henry through the middle of the map that is finessing as well, as they're able to find 2 players rotating out over by the riverbed. They're still going. 5 spree will be finally cut down by Eric Boom, but even more so than that, by so much time for Dizzy's Rascals to soak up time here on 5.
And here they come. AIM Esports looking to break in the hard point early on. Dizzy will fall in the middle of the map. Super are now looking for the other one over towards the willow tree. That's going to be Whalers. It would have been a big gunfight to take if you're a Super. Unfortunately, not able to win it. Will get shut down by Henry there as well, as Dizzy's Rascals looking to put a little bit of space between themselves and the AIM Esports side. I don't know if they actually have much of a choice in the matter, though, as there are still players looking to force the issue. It's Yakko, who surely does not turn on towards Dizzy there. Does get shut down, and now for Dizzy's Rascals, they'll be looking for the last 15 seconds or so of time. But even now, AIM, even with 10 to 15 seconds of time here on Bakaj, they know how short the rotational battle will be. They continue to push for it. They don't want to give that time away.
There's no reason to, right? Because Dizzy's Rascals were mounting a very big P5 hold there throughout the entirety and all the antics that Henry was putting through the middle of the map. So it's one of those things, yeah, you got to finesse for the scrap time, but they also did a fantastic job of hitting through the center and making sure that barn was still in their control, as even off screen, Yakko was able to find 1 kill on the backside of 10. So they'll still have the close spawns going in towards 2, but ample time still to play here on 1, and they're dealing with all the players that are isolating themselves here for Dizzy's Rascals. Every single isolated engagement until that one for Whalers on the Yakko is more or less going up in AIM's favor. Now it's up to Henry again through the middle of the map to continuously finesse, but the help is here. They know they got to push from the spawns, and they're aware now that AIM Esports are still spawning in essentially for 2.
Yeah, AIM Esports are on the better side of the map for the moment. They'll be very conscious of that fact. They want to hold on to it for as long as humanly possible. But as we said before, sometimes we forget about the P1 time. Dizzy Rascals, most certainly not at the moment, as Whalers able to pick up 1. They've still got 1 player inside the hard point. That is going to be Henry, but Journey in for 2. And that wave of gunfights at the moment is going to push Dizzy Rascals all the way back here towards those back hedgerow spawns. AIM very happy about this position now, as they can cut the map in all the right places. Yakko over towards the riverbed will pick up the 1 kill versus Whalers. Only 1 player at the moment has got past that 50-yard line, and that is going to be Henry. He is just going to wait for the rest of the team to come on through. Will Eric allow it, though? He's able to pick up 1, and Dizzy's Rascals still can't get past. Finally, though, with Dizzy and Whalers picking up 2, Dizzy's Rascals might be able to find their way on through and really start applying some pressure.
Oh, nice patience from Henry. He was just waiting, knowing that there was probably still going to be an AIM Esport player that spawns in the backside of 10, and it was well read, well scouted. 25 seconds still to play here on P2. They know they don't have immediately barn control, so Henry just has to play prone and play a 1-for-1 position and just trust their teammates to be able to find value towards the back. That's a heat check if I've ever seen one. Henry does find 1. The trade is there with Whalers taking down Super as well. The hit and break from the front. Successful, I would certainly say so, as Dizzy's Rascals are able to contest some time, and now AIM Esports will completely concede this, making sure that they still play through the middle of the map. Yes, one kill came through. They were able to soak up the back 5 seconds, and that's more alarming than it is anything for AIM Esports, because they did give up the backside of the spawns, but the trust is absolutely there for Super to make the play through Grandma's, finds 2, and then the SMG shortly behind them to be able to fully break into 3 early.
Oh, what an important play from Super, by the way, to make sure that player gets taken down by Grandma's. I think it's Wailers.
Wow.
No way! Super, hello! 5 in a row. Gets shut down before any streaks, but the damage is done. Most certainly, Dizzy's Rascals will continue to spawn in that backline. AIM looking to continue to apply the pressure here as those players just spawn up time and time again. They are stuck in a time loop at the moment. 30 seconds left on the hill, and AIM soaking up as much as it as humanly possible, but the set nades come through from Wailers and Dizzy. They remove the players from the hill. Yakko gets a little bit aggressive for the last kill and will not get it. So 15 seconds of time here. I think for AIM, they want to focus on the rotations, so they will give this up. But look at the route coming in from Henry. They have no idea. I think he's got past. And BB Connor and Dizzy going to win their first engagements as well. Even now, Andy, AIM are not quite as secure on the rotation as they would like.
Yeah, but they still have a 20-point lead, and with that last kill coming through on a BB Connor, that will solidify it. Eric Boom is also pushing through the A plat as well. This is going to continuously keep Dizzy's Rascals trapped on the backside of 3, and it cannot go understated that AIM Esports are just living in the chaos on Bocage, the same way they did on 3 and 4 going back to the Gvutsu hardpoint, just being able to find themselves an influential amount of time of breaking crucial hardpoints from the front. But here comes the contest. Dizzy's Rascals from the front side of the barn are able to get their way all the way past the plat, and that means that they are able to at least contest the hardpoint time, but they split AIM Esports as far as spawns north to south over on the west side of the map. They have to be able to deal with these gunfights. Trades are good coming through from AIM Esports as they retake P4.
And it looks so solid there for Dizzy's Rascals. Can they continue to hold on? No, they can't. One more player to be sent in here at the very least. Make sure that AIM do not get this time. And there you go. The kills still coming through for both these rosters. Henry in for the contest. I think him being the last remaining player over here is just like, yep, taking those shots is probably the worst thing that I could possibly do in this scenario. So moving over towards P5 here. AIM, they're about 30 points ahead of Dizzy's Rascals. We know in Bocage that is a large lead for the roster. Can they now accentuate it? As we look over towards the rotational, it is Dizzy's Rascals winning these initial battles, and Wailers is just keeping an eye on the flank here, making sure that nobody's managed to make their way in from behind. Yakko will be coming from the tunnel. He's able to pick up the 1 kill, but no, the team nade coming through. How many times is that going to happen this series? It doesn't matter though. AIM, they've managed to remove Dizzy's Rascals from the hardpoint for the moment.
And that's influential to say the least, because you remember going back to the first set of hardpoints, Dizzy's Rascals were almost able to amount about 30-35 seconds of hardpoint time here on 5, which with a map like Bocage, that is very, very big. But even more so than that, they were able to deal with the gifted spawn that came through from Henry over by 10, was able to at least find 1. And that means that AIM Esports spawning on the backside of the Willow Tree should still be able to solidify themselves here on P5 for a lot of these power positions. Yes, Super finds 1. Henry will be there for the trade. And just when it's all said and done, we got ourselves about an even game going in towards the 3rd set of rotations. And look at the minimap as it is being quite spread for Dizzy's Rascals, trying to put themselves inside of the stalls, trying to put themselves inside of the shed to try to deal with these players from AIM Esports in towards the middle of the map. They're making them try to work for a lot of these kills. The trades will be coming all the way through. Again, it's AIM Esports holding on to the favorite side of the map ahead of the new set.
What is going on at the moment? This is just an incredible game between these two teams. This is one of the closest Bocage hardpoints we've seen all season, but it doesn't matter. AIM are going to get a wave of gunfights. That'll spawn Dizzy's Rascals over towards the hedge side, so they have to fight back here. They are on the wrong side of the map, and they do not want to be giving away this much time for free on P1. How much choice do they have in the matter, though? You need to find some heroics here from Dizzy, who is the closest player towards the hardpoint, is going to remove Eric Boom from that time, so now less time going the way of AIM Esports. Henry in for the last 15 seconds here. But again, it's the fact that they're not on the right side of the hard point that's the problem for Dizzy's Rascals. This hit behind needs to be perfect coming through from Eric, needs to be perfect coming through from Henry, who actually will get the first gunfight, turns around for the second, but still gets outplayed by Yakko. But look at this, look at the minimap. Dizzy's Rascals, they've made their way towards the next hard point.
And Dizzy, with that last little push, Henry was holding his kill cam, is going to spawn on the backside of 10. AIM Esports are going to be more than aware of this, but look at the setup across the tank lane. You already have BB Connor over by that God tank, making sure that things are locked down on the backside of Grandma's. Dizzy's Rascals are still spawning in, but they don't have anybody inside a barn, so Yakko needs to make the play, but they get snuffed out. Great call from Dizzy, and Dizzy's Rascals are able to solidify themselves here on the hard point. AIM Esports are forced to break and flood from the front.
You gotta get in. If you're AIM Esports, you do not want to give this time away. Yes, Dizzy's Rascals cannot win here, but you can get quite a lot of time yourselves, and that wave of gunfight is gonna be crucial for AIM Esports. 20 seconds that both teams will still look to fight over here, even if Dizzy's Rascals do have a hand on the spawns. But look at this. Eric Boom in from behind. Eric Boom for 2 kills. That should turn the situation around once again, as Dizzy's Rascals gonna lose control of the spawns for that next rotation. AIM Esports now just 19 seconds away. Dizzy's Rascals, you need to fight for these spawns, and you need to fight for them now.
Yeah, you need to be able to try to break these spawns, maybe, but we've seen a lot of teams find value just holding P3 from the front. Henry will find 2, will be contested from the window. The trade needs to be there on Iyako, and Whalers is going to be able to find it. They're actually flooding through the backside of Grandma's with the help of Dizzy watching that very long cross, but it's actually leaving numbers inside of the hardpoint itself. 25 seconds remaining on the game clock, and Dizzy's Rascals are about to take the lead.
And they're in the hard point. AIM should continue to spawn in the backline, but no, they spawn across the map now. Dizzy's Rascals, they've influenced the spawns perfectly. Whalers going to be sitting in the corner, wins the 1v1 versus Eric Boom. Can Journey do anything about this? He picks up 2 huge gunfights. He's still alive as well. Nobody to take down Journey just yet. He's still doing damage in the backline. Finally gets taken down. It's AIM back in now. 15 seconds away from victory. They could still do it here for 18 seconds on the game clock. Eric Boom to take out 1 player. 1 more player by the window. Dizzy's Rascals going to continue to spawn in the backline. They could still win it here as well. And now no longer the case. We will be seeing a rotation. This is not really time that AIM want to give away, but they can continue to spawn Dizzy's Rascals in the backline. Henry, can he make his way towards the willow tree? Can he make his way towards the barn area of the map? Uncontested. He flies on through. He picks up the opening engagement, but AIM Esports surely should come out on top of these initial gunfights. They do. Can anybody win these gunfights for Dizzy's Rascals? AIM are there. Henry, the next player to do anything about this. 4 seconds on the overall game clock here. Somebody has to get in. It's AIM to close things out here on the hard point. But what an eclectic finish here to probably the best damn hard point we've seen this entire season.
Yeah, I would probably put it up there in one of the best Bokash hardpoints that we've ever seen. And who would have thought, again, it is coming through from Dizzy's Rascals. Again, when you go back to it, it is honestly competing with themselves as far as the best Bokash hardpoint that we've seen in that 1-point victory versus Soleo Science. All of that said, it was a fantastic P3 hold from the front. The one overstep that I would say that Dizzy's Rascals did is they did not have to full flood for the closer spawns of P3. There was no reason to do so. You saw immediately what it meant for AIM Esports. They spawned closer towards the middle of the map, inside of the barn. And then from there on out, it was just one simple fact remains, is that they had to basically flurry and be able to come away with all those gunfights as quickly as they possibly could. This is the last 30 seconds of the entirety of the Bokash hardpoint, Brody. And it's one of those things, again, that you have to take a look at in this specific moment. Yeah, you were able to walk away with a handful of kills and trades. Eric Boom still playing from the back. Spawns now flipped for Dizzy's Rascals as they're starting to work their way in from the backs of the hardpoint. And Dizzy does a bang-up job, keep in mind you, at being able to push for these kills inside of Kitchen. But it was Super that made the play. Being able to at least get that contest going forward, Eric Boom lingering behind, and that forced all of Dizzy's Rascals to try to hit through the front side of P2. From there on out, you had AIM Esports on the favorite side of P4. They have the staircase. They have the hay to play around inside of the hardpoint itself, and they understood fully what needed to come through every single time that you had Dizzy's Rascals contest. They needed to push the gunfight, and boy howdy did AIM Esports push for those gunfights. Yako made a split-second call to be able to get that first player off of the hardpoint itself, force all of Dizzy's Rascals to spawn so far out on the backside of P3 that it meant absolutely nothing from there on out. AIM Esports put on an incredible effort to not only come back from such a steep deficit on that Bokash hardpoint, but to only lose it in 5. That just sucks, but AIM Esports worked their hearts out to be able to not only contest P3 yet again, journey off of that 3 spree, but to be able to win the rotation over towards 4, getting on that staircase side. Wow, what a photo finish.
I'm out of breath. I can't believe what we just watched. I love casting Bokash hardpoint, man. They give us such incredible moments there. AIM Esports, they're able to do it in 4, but we almost had a game number 5 there. Dizzy's Rascals, they made it look so close, and as you say, it's the finest of margins that gave them the L there in the final hardpoint. So we look over towards our best of 5 to close out the series. AIM Esports, they're able to take both hardpoints and the control as well. That search and destroy, the only map mode combination Dizzy's Rascals were able to take in this best of 5, and as we we kind of said, I think, coming into this one, if Dizzy's Rascals are going to win anything, it's probably going to be that, right? Because it is, at the end of the day, AIM's weakest game mode at this point in time, and I think something they'll be looking at to make improvements on for a potential playoffs run, because that is now what they're looking at, right? 5-1 right now are AIM Esports. They effectively solidify themselves in playoffs, and unfortunately for Dizzy's Rascals, they unfortunately do not. So 1-5 now for Dizzy's Rascals. Their last match tomorrow will just be, I guess, just looking for a victory to close things out with, right, Andy? So we shall see how things go now for Dizzy's Rascals, but they are done for the moment. AIM will be walking away with the victory at the end of the day, now 5-1, looking pretty good going into the final day of round robin tomorrow, as are Toronto that we saw earlier on. So that's going to do it for today's games here in Call of Duty Challenges, at least in the European region, but we'll be back with North America very shortly at 6:30 Eastern. Make sure you guys do not miss it, because if these games are awesome, trust me, those games are going to be all the better. We'll see you guys then.